to lose. And honey, I say, baby, come back. Baby, you're much too fast. Baby, come back. You need a love that's gonna last. Guess I should've closed my eyes when you drove me to the place where your horses run free. I felt a little ill when I saw all the pictures of the jockeys.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome into the Watchdog. It's 2:10. I'm Big Rick. Lola is here, and joining me in studio is DJ Abasella. And you heard Prince to open the show. This day 5 years ago, we lost Prince. And so today we'll kind of weave Prince in and out of the show at different points. I always think that it is good to remember the music of Prince and the genius it was. We have a lot to talk about, DJ. I ran into you Monday, just casually ran into you on the street, and we just chatted a little bit, and you're like, it's going to be a pretty wild week. So, keep your socials open and following along. And I know that you had no idea what we'd be talking about today when I saw you just 2 days ago. Of course, we had the Jolie trade, which these things happen. It's the trade deadline. But this is a whole new ball of wax today.
Yeah, you weren't expecting trade deadline week to also result in coaching change week, but yeah, here we are this morning. Mark French resigns, and now Derek Army as our interim head coach. And I have to say that I've been completely thrilled watching the social media because you don't know what it's going to ultimately look like, how people are going to respond, but the impact that Derek has made on the people here in Wheeling, everybody's gung-ho, and they're fully behind D right now, so that's great.
Let's welcome him into the show. We do have the new coach of the Wheeling Nailers, Derek Army, on the line. Derek, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. I appreciate your time.
Of course. Let's talk about this. We had I think you and I talked maybe the day after you got to Wheeling to come here to be the assistant coach. We had a great conversation. You're a new dad. You're a new coach. You're doing all these things. If I would have asked you what will 3 months after or 4 months after your initial landing back here in Wheeling look like, I don't know that you would have drawn this up, would you?
No, this certainly was not in the plan for me, and it was just kind of one I wanted to come in and obviously learn from Mark and, just be back in Wheeling. And I was just excited to be back. And it just kind of, obviously it happened. And, Mark, had some stuff he had to take care of. So I support him in that. But it's definitely been a crazy time, that's for sure.
Well, let's get this out of the way, both Derek and DJ. Nobody's mad at Mark French. I mean, this was a family decision, right?
You want to go first, D?
Yeah, D, do you want to go first?
I was going to let you, but if you want me, yeah.
Okay, I got you, DJ, I got you. So, for me, no one should be and is mad at Mark. I know in talking, he talked with the team today. He was extremely emotional, and me and him have had a great relationship all year, and this is something that, it's not something that just came about, yesterday or 2 days ago or anything of that nature. This is something that's been going on with his family, and I think, it's something he had to take care of. And, I think for me, everyone always says family first. And for Mark, as I could never say a bad thing about him. For him to really show that and put his family first, I think it is the most impressive and just truly speaks to who he is and who his character is.
Good.
Yeah, I think that's the same as the organization's view too, where that's the biggest thing is family absolutely has to come first. I know that we live in a time where everybody wants jobs to come first and all that, focus, but at the end of the day, that's your lifeblood. That's who you go home to. That's your support system. So if there's something like Derek said that needs taken care of, I mean, I've learned this the last couple of years. When I came down here in 2011, I was a single guy. I was on my own. Now I'm engaged. My fiance has 2 kids. If we're going to make a life decision, it's got to be together, and we've got to be able to support each other both ways. And Derek's now got that scenario too, where he's married with Jenny. He's got his son Boone. That's going to be a different dynamic as he continues to grow now in his role that he has right now.
Let's talk Derek real quick. We have Derek Army on the line, new coach of the Nailers, and DJ Abasella, the voice of the Nailers here in studio. Derek, this changes a lot of dynamic for you. I mean, obviously you have such a history with this team in this region. Are you a guy that has looked at the social media at all? Have you seen how excited? Truly, I would say more excitement, overwhelming excitement from the fan base to support you in this new role. That has to be. Have you looked at it? Do you know what the feedback's been?
To be honest, unfortunately, I wish I could tell you I have. Unfortunately, I haven't. It's been, there's a lot going on. So I haven't. Unfortunately, I've seen. Right now I currently have 175 unread text messages.
I'm sure you do.
I believe that.
So that's great to see the support from different people, and especially I think that most meaningful has been some of the, aside from family and whatnot, has been some of the former Nailers reaching back out and their excitement. But for me, it means the world to me when, you say that the fans are excited, because they were such an impact for me as a player, and now as a coach. Obviously, you want to be part of community, and I feel like I've really tried to do that. So I'm very thrilled that they're excited, and I'm just, happy to be in this opportunity.
Has your finals team group chat exploded yet?
Oh yeah. We got a lot of messages from those guys, so it's been great. I know they're all excited. They've been following this year, and we always follow, but they're a little extra skipping their step right now.
What about you? Is there an extra skip in your step today? You got nerves? Are you excited? Are you all of the above? Because you're a pretty collected individual. I feel like you just woke up and went, all right, now I'm a head coach. Let's do this. But be real about it. I mean, there's got to be some butterflies, some nerves, all those types of things that hockey players pretend that they don't have, but they've got to exist.
Oh, for sure. I'd be lying to you if I told you I wasn't nervous, and especially, where I think we're all human. And for me, it just was, I'd be lying too if I told you I've gotten much sleep the last couple of nights. But no, it's very exciting for me. There's obviously a little extra hop for me, a little extra excitement. It's just it's something I think you always dream about, and for me, it's something I've always wanted to work eventually to, and. When to have the opportunity now, you got to just, show your excitement. I know from, obviously having a dad who's a coach, and, how much he loves the game, and his passion when he goes into the rink. That's the same thing I have. So I want to make sure, the players know that. And I in talking with the guys today and talking with the team, I'm human too, just like them. I told them, like, I'm nervous. I'm excited. I'm here for you guys. I know you guys are here for me. It was great. We had really good conversation in the locker room. But yes, I definitely have an extra jump in my step today.
We're talking to Derek Army. He is the new head coach of the Wheeling Nailers, obviously a name that so many people around this area know. Derek, some of the things that I've been just thinking about in our conversation here, when did you know? Because you said I haven't had some sleep in the last couple of nights. Obviously, that means that you had an indication of this earlier than today when the rest of us found out. When did you know, and how did it come about for the team to ask you to take this role? Because that has to, again, like DJ mentioned earlier, these are family decisions for you now. You're looking out for a wife and a kid now that wasn't maybe part of your life when you were an actual player. But this is a new career path. So talk about that. When did you know, and how did those conversations go?
So Mark and I were very close. So I've known for just a while that there's things at home, and he missed being home, and I've known that for a long time. And he wishes he could be there for his kids and his wife and everything going on back home. And obviously, it's hard times with COVID and everything, especially in Canada. So I knew it was a heavy weight on him. And then we've discussed it throughout the year at random times, and but never to this extent. And then we talked on Monday, and he just kind of, we were talking trades, and I think part of him was like, as we go through the possible trade deadline stuff and this and everything going on, that there's a lot on his plate, and he's like, I don't know if I, can be here and dedicate myself this when I'm kind of, I'm really thinking about my family. And so I think from there, I kind of, he told me on Monday, and Brian, and we talked, and so yeah, the last couple of days though, yeah, I have not slept much.
I would imagine two big ones left, and then I'll give you one final one to go on, because I know that you have a lot of press and a lot of people are interested in talking to you today. You're going to have an assistant coach. I would imagine one or two, maybe more. What are you doing about that? We've got games coming up. Who's going to be by your side? Are you going to go at it alone for the immediate future, or who are you looking at? Can you drop any names? What's the situation with that?
So I can drop names. So and I think the Nailers fans will be very happy. But Brad Drobot is going to join me as an assistant coach now.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the two of you as a coaching tandem are so close to the age of some of the players on this team. I think you have an opportunity to be. You have an opportunity to really be players' coaches, the both of you. I mean, we've seen both you in your playing time, and certainly Drobot in his time as a Nailer, willing to do anything that the team requires. I mean, anything. I watched Drobot play for 1 second this season, went out there and got into a fight, and then sat on the bench the entire time, knowing that that's the guy who will give up whatever he has to give up for the benefit of his team. So how did that come about? Because I'm sure Nailer fans are excited.
Yeah, so it was just one that Droby's an extremely great leader on this team, and he's helped Mark and me all year. He's been a guy we count on to help us in the locker room, in a lot of facets, and he's part of our leadership group. And I know I had spoke to Droby a few times, and I think his long-term goal, I think he eventually wanted to get into coaching. I think he had some potential opportunities in the next year and the following years. So, as this came about, it was kind of one, like, for me as a new head coach, you need to have a good support system, and you need to have someone who has a pulse of the locker room. So Droby is a perfect candidate in that sense, and I think for him, if he's really looking to get into coaching, this is a good facet for me and him, and especially for him to learn. So I can kind of, teach him what I've known so far in terms of video and different things, but he also brings, a good leadership from the locker room and a familiarity with the locker room. So it really is great. And I'm excited to have him. And, I think it's important that you have two guys who really care so much about the team, the Nailers and the organization and the community. And I think for me, it was kind of a no-brainer as Brian and I and Mark talked about it.
Derek, how does this change the mentality of your team? Obviously, you're up against the trade deadline. We've already seen someone go and a few faces come in. That may not be the end of it. I don't know if you plan on making any more moves, but I'd imagine that is certainly a call of yours to make. But when the boys on the team look up and see Drobot and Army as the coaches, does that change the dynamic for your team? I mean, you've been playing better as of late. Things have looked up. What do you think that's going to do to the team? How will they react to this?
I mean, I think guys were shocked. Guys in here really took to Mark. Mark is a guy who any player is lucky to play for. He's an honest family man. He looks out for the guys. And so for me to learn from that was huge and see that and now kind of take over that. But, initially guys were very surprised. And I think, my whole point this morning in the meeting was this is pro hockey. This is your job now, and you have to find a way, as tough as it is, and especially when it's snowing outside.
Of course.
You have to find a way to turn the page, and you have to find a way to be a professional hockey player, and you have to find a way to continue to get better every day. It's a message we've had as a team and as a staff all year, so it just kind of reiterated that way. But so that would be my best answer from that standpoint.
Derek, I know you have some other interviews to do, and I'm going to finish up the interview with DJ, but before I let you go, Sum up, if you can, what it's like for you to have your first head coaching opportunity be with the team that you love.
It's hard to sum up. It's one, I love the Wheeling Nailers. I love the city of Wheeling. Everyone, just the area. I think, you ask any player, especially from some of the teams that the Kelly Cup team or whatnot, any of those guys, they've come back in a heartbeat. And for me, it's surreal to have kind of gone into, as a pro, come here and found such a home. But now to be back with, my 6-month-old son and my wife, and they're coming to games, and I get to, start my coaching career, my head coaching career with my son here is very, very special. And it truly is an honor. And it's one that, I really can't put into words because I'm so excited to, be a part of the Penguins organization. I'm so fortunate to have gone through here, but I think it goes to show you when you really put your heart into something and you really invest, that good things will happen. And I think that's where, when I came here all those years ago, 7 or 8 years ago, that's what I did. And, I think right now, because of the relationships I created, it has paid off. But I really can't describe how surreal and exciting it is for myself and my family, and just to be here is awesome.
Well, I think I speak on behalf of most people in this area. We're proud of you. We're happy to have you, and we're really looking forward to what you can do with a guy that's your age that can associate with the players on a similar level. I think is going to be a huge boost, especially at this level of hockey. And we're all pulling for you. And I hope that you'll jump on with us again here in the near future, and we'll talk about how this works, man. We're really looking forward to having you behind the bench as the head coach of the Wheeling Nailers.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on. You honestly, anytime you want to talk, my office door, my phone is always around. I'd be more than happy. So thank you again.
Thanks, pal. We're proud of you. Take care of yourself, and let's go Nailers.
I love it.
That's how he ends his interviews too.
Go, give me one.
Let's go Nailers.
There you go. Thanks, Derek Army. Take care of yourself.
Thank you. You as well. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Every TV and radio interview I do with him, he always ends it with the "Let's go Nailers." It's hilarious. I love it.
I got to say, from an organizational standpoint, how happy were the Nailers that this guy was in-house when needed?
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, it made it very, very smooth, where ultimately I think that was going to be kind of the plan down the road. We didn't expect down the road to be now, but I think with how much he loves Wheeling, that the goal was going to be Mark to pave the way for Derek. So, now he gets the 23-game audition, and hopefully if all goes well, then, this could be something that leads into not just a quick little thing. Hopefully, this could be something permanent, potentially.
I would think, even from an organization standpoint, knowing that the relationship that he has with this city, and certainly, played his guts out for this team, I would think he's going to get not only a fair opportunity, but maybe because he has such a rich history with the team and what he's been willing and able to do for this team, I think he's getting probably the most honest look a guy could get for his first big opportunity.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You think about it, he's 30 years old.
That's not a lot. That's not old.
No, not at all. But man, you talk about a situation too where I cannot wait now even more than before for this pandemic to be over, because this is a guy who's going to want to be going out, shaking hands, giving hugs, seeing everybody, and getting a chance to see them face to face for the first time in a little while. I'll tell you, he's going to be just chomping at the bit to get that done.
Now, we had Derek on the phone, but you have seen him. I could hear his smile. I mean, is it something? Is he just ear to ear?
Yeah, it was a fun morning. It was something just to watch him, because he and I talked on the phone. Like he said, he found out Monday. I found out Monday as well. That's when we started kind of putting things together, get the release ready. Hey, you're going to be doing a lot of media, so be ready for that. But now today was that first real, here it is.
This is my show.
Yeah, and now it's just a matter of getting things in order, how he wants them, and just kind of that excitement factor. And I'm sure that Friday night in Fort Wayne will be here before he knows it, and that'll be his first game as the guy, and then obviously Sunday will be his first home game here. So I don't know. It'll be interesting if he likes to start on the road or not. But
I would think it would be easier to start on the road. I think the opportunity to step away from the city. I mean, I'm sure he doesn't want to leave his family, but
yeah.
It's the boys on the bus taking the trip, and he's not that far removed from being one of the boys on the bus taking the trip. So I would imagine that in my mind would be probably a little easier to start on the road and then prepare yourself for Sunday's first home game as head coach. But I don't know. I'm excited for the guy. He just seems like a hell of a guy.
Yeah. Oh, no question.
I mean,
I've known him since he was 13.
I mean, so you've got that. You've certainly got that long-term connection. I'm sure there's a sense of pride there for you as well.
And I can't even imagine like his mom Sue. Like she's just as open of a person as Derek is, and she'll scream her head off in excitement. I'm sure she was probably almost in tears. And,
I'm sure.
And his dad Tim's the head coach of Iowa in the American League, so I'm sure that was a really cool moment. Like, that's got to be really special for the whole family.
I was going to say, I knew that he had coaching in his blood, so it probably is just a monumental event for those guys. I know that you guys have a lot of things that you got to take care of.
It's a busy day today, but you know what? It's manageable, which is nice. And like I said, the fact that fans have reacted so positive as they have.
They really have.
You don't know what to expect going into the day. You're like, all right, I knew what we were going. I said 9:30, here we go. And like I said, it's been very, very nice to watch and just see the support.
I mean, the internet hates everyone and everything. It's overwhelmingly supportive for Derek Army taking over this team, and that's good to see. I mean, it's good to see on a lot of levels, not only from a fan level. I love the team. I enjoy being here. I enjoy being able to chat with the team and you all the time. But I mean, just simply for the positivity factor of people being excited for a guy is, to me, uplifting to see this. So
it doesn't take a lot to be a good person. You hear how people used to bash down some of the guys in like MLB just because they were jerks. But you know what? When you're a good person, like Derek is, people come out and support it.
I would think so.
They honestly do.
I would think so. So 23 games left. Let's talk about this. What is realistically possible for the Nailers before you head out?
Boy, that's a good question. I mean, it's a tall hill to get towards one of those last playoff spots. I think you saw in the case with the Jolie trade yesterday where you're looking at a guy who probably wasn't going to be back next year. Just simply, he's an AHL caliber guy.
He's a good player.
Wilkes gave him 3 games. And that was pretty much that. So I think he could see that he probably wasn't going to be a fit there. So, okay, let's go send him to a contender in Orlando. And now we're going to get pieces back at the end of the year. And it's multiple pieces. Like, this isn't just a one-for-one type of a deal. Like, there's actually quite a few coming back the other way at the end of the season. So you're starting to... You're trying to win with the pieces you have, but you're also looking at, okay, what pieces are going to help us not only now, but as we look to build into next year, because next year is a big year for the organization. It's year 30. Like, depending on what happens this year, it could be as many as 5 straight years missing the playoffs. Now with Derek running the show, or hopefully by the time next season starts, he shakes that interim tag and maybe becomes the head guy. We want to put a contending team on the ice. We want to get back into the playoffs and, to be able to have a good group going into it and not have to get ourselves to summer, which I feel like has been the case more often than not the last 5 years, where we're going, all right, we just completely cleaned the blackboard. Now we're going to have to start again and redo this whole puzzle again. Like, to actually be able to connect the dots and say, okay, these guys can help us now and they will be here again next year. That gives us a foundation to start with.
Well, I appreciate Derek's time and yours today, pal. Let's go out and do your thing. But this is it's exciting stuff. I know it may not look like a season that everybody was hoping for, but the fact that there has been a season and the fact that Derek Army is the new interim head coach of the Wheeling Nailers, I think is a pretty big deal. Thanks, pal. We appreciate it, and good luck in these games this weekend.
We appreciate you, too. I mean, this is, as much as you're thankful for us and making the time, we appreciate you making the time. The fact that I dropped a headline on you at 9:30 this morning and said, hey, any chance we can get on the show today, and you were able to get us right on at 2 o'clock. I mean, to drop everything you guys had planned, too, we appreciate that very much also.
Well, you're very welcome, and let's go Nailers. We'll be back with more on The Watchdog.
The Metro News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
West Virginia Metro News. I'm Chris Lawrence. Governor Jim Justice has signed 3 more bills into law approved by lawmakers in the 2021 regular session, among them Senate Bill 634, which is aimed at helping those in positions of authority better connect with anyone suffering from autism.
The bill requires law enforcement and correctional officers to be trained on the best ways to interact with those with autism.
Mark Ellison is the director of autism training at Marshall University and says West Virginia is leading the way.
You know, I'm aware of only 2 states that require autism-specific training for police officers. So once again, West Virginia, at least in the world of autism supports, is kind of a pioneer and kind of leading the way.
The governor also signed House Bill 2263 that updates the regulation of pharmacy benefits managers and requires any savings on prescription drugs through discounts or rebates that were negotiated by insurance companies to be passed on to the patient. He also signed Senate Bill 714 that expands the scope of practice of a physician assistant. The governor this hour with his coronavirus task force handling the midweek briefing on COVID-19. Today's figures indicate 426 new cases, and active cases are at 7,293. Many of us thought the winter was over. Not so fast. A punch delivered today with colder temperatures that arrived early this morning produced snowfall across much of the state, and there's a chance that we're going to see freezing temperatures overnight tonight. You're listening to Metro News, the voice of West Virginia. A woman is dead after she was struck by a vehicle along Route 80 in Logan County early this morning. Logan County deputies say 62-year-old Priscilla Klein Smith of Verner was killed when she was hit by a vehicle around 6:30. An investigation is now underway. American Airlines to resume its flights from Charleston to Philadelphia June 3rd. Yeager Airport officials say that's a big step after a year of flights being idled. It's the last one that was paused at the airport to resume. From the Metro News Anchor Desk, I'm Chris Lawrence.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash, powered by The Score on the Watchdog. I'm John Thayer. The PGA Tour put in place this year a $40 million bonus plan that will pay the top 10 players based on how much they move the needle rather than their performance on the course. The idea is to reward players who drive engagement with sponsors and fans, and it is known as the Player Impact Program. The $40 million bonus pool will pay $8 million to the player in the number 1 position, with amounts decreasing down to the 10th spot. The rankings will be determined by several factors that gauge impact. PGA Tour this week is at the Zurich Classic of New Orleans, a team event that gets underway tomorrow. It will be played over the next 4 days. Download the Score app today, lightning fast sports alerts, so you never miss a thing. I'm John Thayer with the Sports Flash, powered by The Score on the Watchdog.
Soak up the savings during Power Penny Days at JCPenney. Thursday through Sunday, shop thousands of deals in-store and jcp.com. Like Home Expressions bath towels for only $5. Select Kids Arizona Graphic Tees for $6. And select Women's St. John's Bay Tees for $7. Plus, get an extra 25% off your purchase with coupon. Shop the hottest prices of the season at Power Penny Days. JCPenney. Offers and coupon valid 4/22 to 4/25. Exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
Nissan believes you deserve a car that thrills you. So we have to ask, does your car thrill you? When you hit the pedal, do you get something back? A chill in your spine, goosebumps on your goosebumps. When you take off, do your fingers tighten around the steering wheel? Does your heart beat in your stomach and your breath catch in your chest? Does driving make you feel alive? Because it should. And if your car doesn't thrill you, ours will. This is the new Nissan.
A serious injury from an accident can be just the start of your worries. What if you cannot return to work? How do you take care of your family if you're disabled? At Gelner Law Offices, we represent seriously injured people and understand their problem. We know how to get you fair compensation. We will work hard to make sure you get the money you deserve for your losses. Don't go it alone. If you're hurt in an accident, call us at 304-242-2900 or visit us at gelnerlaw.com.
We'd like to help.
Does your dog need groomed or walked? Are you looking for a pet sitter or dog boarding options? If so, call Dirty Paws, Wheeling's newest pet care service, providing the Ohio Valley with everyone's pet care needs. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-362-2000, 362-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. I'm a private real estate investor who can solve your real estate problems fast for cash. Do you want to sell and just be done with it? Okay, great. I buy vacant properties, boarded up houses, pre-foreclosures, and inherited properties. I also buy apartment buildings, rental portfolios, divorce homes. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. I look forward to solving your real estate problems today. Give me a call for an all-cash offer at 614-362-2000, 614-362-2000.
Oh, there's something so real about living local, and I know without a doubt I'm not alone. And I love living local. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. Said I love living local. WTRF is working for me. The Ohio Valley is where I love to be. Crazy horse saloon. Rocky, give me a drink. That's when she caught my eye. She turned open the ring that make a grown man cry.
Welcome back. I'm Big Rick. Lola is here, and this is Real Big Talk on the Watchdog. Lola, you have, over your years, you've encountered plenty of the Wheeling Nailers, either coming in here or being just someone who attends the game regularly. Interested to get your take on this. When we've talked about Derek Army in the past, especially when he was named the assistant coach, you were kind of glowing about that. You really like this guy.
Oh, yeah, I really like Derek. From when he was a player. You know,
Sure.
he was on the station with us quite often, and yeah, I've always gotten along with Derek really well. But I really like Mark.
I did too.
And like I've said in the past, anybody with a Canadian accent, all they got to do is talk to me. It doesn't matter what they talk about. You know, just talk to me.
I knew that the first time that Coach French called that you were. That it got a little steamy. I know that you like that accent, so.
Oh, when he was in here, because he was able to do interviews last year, you know, so.
Oh, see, I guess I never got to meet him in person because ever since I've been here, we've been in the middle of COVID, and they have, of course, had the protocol. But he did. He seemed like a great guy. This was his quote. I appreciated my time in Wheeling and the relationships that I was able to develop in a short amount of time, but right now I feel like I needed to put my family first. He says, getting to know Derek as a person and as a coach, I am confident that he will do a great job for this organization. Those are the words of Coach French as he was leaving. Think about this, and that's why I wanted to ask those guys that question specifically. Nobody's mad at Mark French. He hasn't been able to see his family in 6 months. The COVID protocols, of course, set forth by the league are difficult enough, but then again, on top of that, his family lives in Canada.
Yeah.
So,
border.
Being 6 months away from having kids and your wife is difficult on anybody. So, I hope that sincerely nobody takes that out on a guy who is trying to do the best for his family. But I really think that having Derek Army in house was certainly a
plus.
I would say is a big plus, if not part of a plan a part of certainly a big plus that he was able to he's able to be here. I don't know why, but I feel like he's going to kill it. I think he has the spirit to be somebody who absolutely goes out there and I don't want to say turn the team around, because the team looks like it's coming around a bit and playing a little better hockey. But I just think he's a guy that can inject that player mentality into being a coach. And I think that's, what did we talk about yesterday with Mike Tomlin? Why is Mike Tomlin continuously, he wins, but he's also known as a player's coach. The players like having him at the top. They feel like they can go to him. He's not that far. I mean, as Coach Tomlin ages, obviously, he's getting further away from the youth of a rookie or a second-year player. But for so long, Mike Tomlin, and he's still, even his sideline demeanor, he's very excitable. And I think that's probably, I think Derek's going to take a few minutes to figure it out, but he's been watching his father coach for years. I actually think he is probably the right person for the job and in the right place at the right time. Well,
he's comfortable with here.
Yeah, I mean, that's an adjustment in its own.
Yeah, so, this is going to work. It's going to work out well, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Seems like a really great guy. Obviously, going with the extended interview, we won't get into anything probably overly serious until coming up in the 3 o'clock hour. But we've talked about this before. When people are looking for COVID vaccines, certainly in the beginning of it, with especially you and I have in the last 2 days, I'd mentioned at the beginning of this, especially being a Pennsylvania resident, I had to register on like 7 different lists. Mm-hmm. Those lists are now recycling and offering in case you didn't get it. I think we're actually to the point where we have so many vaccines and not enough people. I mean, my mother's nursing home reached out to me earlier today via text message and just said, if you've not received the vaccine, you could come to the nursing home and get it. So for a year, I couldn't go into the nursing home. Now they're asking me to come there to get vaccinated. It's in the next couple of weeks, I think we're going to find out if this has exhausted itself. It's kind of a weird thought considering how sought after it was. Now it's so open that they're struggling to fill appointments. I wonder if that's just people, like you and I modified our lives. We modified our daily lives to go get it. You took a day off of work. I took a day off of work. You got your second shot, not knowing what to prepare for. You took a couple of days off. I made sure I could get mine after I was done with work into a weekend in case I got sick. Mm-hmm. I think nobody is willing to do that now. I think people are getting them on their own time, and they don't see it as the severity that we saw it as pretty early into the process.
Well, and you're running into the group now that anti-vaxxers. There are going to be a certain amount of people that just are going to refuse to get vaccinated, that sounds awful harsh, but declining the offer, so to speak, and they're always going to be there. The people that wanted it and believed in it have now all,
it's accessible too.
And because up at Michael's, 2 weeks ago, they started saying, if you don't need an appointment, if you want it, come up here and get, just walk on in and get it. So, yeah, I think, the people now that are, the dwindling numbers are the people that just simply don't want it.
Yeah, I think we're going to get there. I think we're probably still a few weeks away from people from exhausting all the people who actually want to get it and are eligible for it. But what I see is people just going, well, I mean, I'll get it, but I'm not taking a day off of work. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. Because I think that's kind of the phase that we're in. I think people are still getting it. And I think that offer in the Highlands at the old Michael's building, from what I understand, it still stands. Mm-hmm. We have our buddy Mark that calls in from Marshall County, from the Marshall County Health Department, called in the other day and was talking about how there are vaccines available there too, and how actually they were the ones that helped get the Nailers players vaccinated too. So I think that's kind of what I'm seeing is people. I still know people that are willing to get it. not necessarily an over reluctancy to do so, but just kind of no, I'm not in any hurry. And to me, that's the weird part. Like, I get it. If you're not going to get it, you're not going to get it. And if you are going to get it, or you were absolutely so intent on getting it like you and I were, you've already gotten it. Now I see people that are just kind of like, I mean, I'll get it when it's convenient. And it's weird. That's the weird part to me, because get it when it's convenient, to me says, I'm really not in any hurry to get the hell out of this situation and get back to our regular lives. And I don't know how much this has to do with it. This is just me spitballing here. So it's not like I read this anywhere, but what I have read are stories now about businesses starting to say, okay, it's time for you to come back to the office. Businesses all over the country are starting to say, well, now that we're over 50% of the population at least has one of the shots.
Yeah.
It's time for us to start rebuilding our return to work plan. And I'm wondering if so many people are going, I haven't been vaccinated yet, so I can't come back just yet. And that's where I think we're kind of going to enter this next, I would say, 4 to 6 weeks of a gray area where it's like, well, you get vaccinated and then you can come back to work. And people are going to go, well, I don't know that I want to do this. To me, it was important. To you, it was important to do it as soon as possible for our health and for the health of the people around us. For the people that aren't going to get it, that's what they believe, and you're not going to change their mind. But I think there's really still probably 15 to 20% of America that's kind of a gray area going, I'll get it when it's convenient, or the longer I hold off, I don't have to go back into my office. Because there are some companies, not all of them, but there are some companies that are saying, look, you have to get vaccinated.
I think that's going to be the next step.
That's
now
what
that things are opening up, I think you're going to see more and more companies saying, you can't come back unless you're vaccinated, and if you don't come back, you don't have a job.
Yeah, that's where I see it getting interesting as far as that goes. We need to take a quick one before we get to the top of the hour.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do that. We'll come right back on the Watchdog.
This is Bill DeFabio, your host of the variety show with Bill DeFabio. Heard on the Watchdog Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Join me from noon till 2 to talk sports, nostalgia, and hear from some of the legends of the game. You won't believe who I have on next. The Bill DeFabio Variety Show, heard on the Watchdog Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Tune in and get with the program. I'm Bill DeFabio. Join me for the Variety Show on the Watchdog.
Toyota RAV4 is the #1 selling SUV in America over the last year. Available as a hybrid and with all-wheel drive, it has the style and versatility for all your life's adventures. And through May 3rd, get up to $1,250 cash back from Toyota on select new 2021 RAV4s. Shop Toyota's official website for deals via Toyota.com. Then see your Toyota dealer. Go Toyota, and let's go places.
Lansing. The Watchdog is protecting your yard. Join Howard Monroe, Hoppy Kercheval, Bill DeFabio, and Big Rick for the best live and local talk in the Upper Ohio Valley and beyond. Lansing trusts the Watchdog.
Wheeling Coin and Hobby on 10th Street in Wheeling, next to the Bridge Tavern in downtown Wheeling, wants to buy any and all unwanted gold and silver jewelry. They are paying top dollar for 10, 14, 18, and 22 karat gold plus 925 sterling silver. They also want to buy collectible coins and paper money from before 1933. Wheeling Coin and Hobby is open daily from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Coin and Hobby, 304-232-8430, and add them on Facebook.
Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 want to thank the owners and contractors of the Ohio Valley for using their locally trained workers to help build for the future. Local 83 helps design, fabricate, and build the gas infrastructure for the oil and gas industry here in the Ohio Valley. Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 is 300 members strong and growing. They also do residential, commercial, and industrial work on both sides of the river. For more information, call Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 at 304-233-4445.
Welcome back. It's 2:54. Before we head into the 3 o'clock hour, Stephen Allen Adams is going to join us in that 3 o'clock hour. Obviously, lots of things happen in the state this week that we will talk about. The idea of, well, I think Steve will be able to properly put into terms what the governor has requested and offered as far as cleaning up some of those orders. I know that he had a press conference today at noon. Steve covered it, so we'll get the fresh information from him coming up here in the 3 o'clock hour. The snow, it was funny, when I got up this morning, I actually had 1.5 inches of snow on my back. Well, I went out and measured it just because I was like, this can't be this. And I went out, it was, I assume much like here, it's tapered off, but I went out there and I couldn't believe there was that much. I thought it's going to flurry and it's going to make me mad. It legit snowed.
Mm-hmm.
It was legit
in
snow.
some places.
Yeah.
I had just a smidge on the roof of my truck.
Oh, no,
But up on the hills, like Liv's house, the kids were asking, where's the Christmas tree?
Yeah. Yeah, I live on top of a big hill as well, and it was blowing around out there. My porch furniture was blowing around. I was like, this is ridiculous. Ridiculous. I did see, I think my favorite snow-related social media message I saw was, it's snowing Chick-fil-A ice, because it was like pellets of ice. And yeah, it was. It looked like one of my friend's kids gathered it all up and said it looks like the ice that you get at Chick-fil-A, which I thought was pretty clever actually for a kid to come up with. It was pretty funny, but yeah, hopefully. I got married in August of 2009, and so I flew there for his wedding, and he had an outdoor wedding, and it was beautiful. It was also 56 degrees when he got married in August. And he's like, well, this is unusually cold. Well, it's 56. It's not 56 in August anywhere. But yeah, I guess it snowed pretty much all over the country. Pirates and Tigers are playing doubleheader today because it snowed yesterday in Detroit.
Yeah, and what you watch, it'll probably get postponed again today.
I was going to say, I haven't seen the update on that.
Well, I will check the weather.
Yeah, I hadn't seen the update on that, but yeah, that was something that I was like, when the season first starts for baseball, occasionally a snow delay in Colorado is expected. There have been a few in Pittsburgh, but normally not 20 games into the season do you get a snow delay. That's odd. So that's what we've all encountered this morning. But don't worry, I think it's on its way out, but I'll be real miserable if I see it again. I'll be super miserable if the snow makes its way back through. I'm very ready for summer. My little side business of putting on concerts, I announced an entire summer concert series yesterday, and then last night I watched it snow. It did seem right.
Okay. In Detroit, 47 or 43 is the high today. That's all it's going to be, with 30% chance of snow.
Oh, well, they may get some of those, at least part of that doubleheader in.
We opened the season in a whiteout, so I guess, yeah, they could play.
If you're a baseball player and that's how you, you look out and it's like, all right, it's season time. Oh, look, there's a whiteout.
Oh, yeah.
Before we take this break, speaking of baseball, I want to wish Neil Walker, former Pirate and local Pittsburgh guy, congratulations on his retirement. We come back, Stephen Allen Adams will join us. We'll talk state news next on The Watchdog.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Attorney General Merrick Garland says his department will lead a civil investigation into the Minneapolis Police Department, including possible excessive force policies during protests. It follows the conviction of former officer Derek Chauvin for the murder of George Floyd. Lawmakers, including a top GOP senator, are endorsing the decision.
Republican Senator Roy Blunt is praising Attorney General Merrick Garland's announcement that the Justice Department will conduct an investigation into the Minneapolis Police Department to determine if it has a history history of using excessive force. Blunt, who's a member of GOP leadership, said in his home state of Missouri, this type of review of the Ferguson Police Department in 2014 helped rebuild trust in the community. The senator had previously urged the DOJ to reinstate these kinds of investigations. Elizabeth Schulze, ABC News, Washington.
In Columbus, Ohio this hour, authorities say a fatal police shooting yesterday of 16-year-old Makia Bryant is under a state independent investigation. At a briefing today, interim police chief Michael Woods released the 911 calls about a fight and body cam video when police arrived. Chief Woods says the teen was shot by an officer as Bryant tried to stab another girl.
The important step now is for BCI to conduct a independent and transparent investigation. The Columbus Division of Police will assist them, but we will not interfere in any investigative process that they have.
The mayor calling the shooting tragic. At the White House, President Biden marking 200 million shots since he took office of the COVID vaccine. He also detailed new strategies, he says, to get more Americans vaccinated, including reimbursing companies when employees take time to get the shot.
I'm calling on every employer, large and small, in every state to give employees the time off they need with pay to get vaccinated.
The CDC says the number of Americans getting their first shot has dropped in the past week. You're listening to ABC News.
Carl was more than $10,000 in credit card debt. Disaster was coming.
Well, it was pretty bad. It was coming to the end. I was getting desperate.
He called Total Financial Freedom, A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. They've helped thousands of people reduce all types of debt to a fraction of what they owed. Call 800-533-6605 to see if you qualify. Call in the next 10 minutes to receive a free book written by the CEO, The Debt Dietitian, The Way to a Healthy Financial Future. Call 800-533-6605.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/work. That's ZipRecruiter.com/work.
A federal judge says the homeless living in the Skid Row area of Los Angeles must get housing by fall.
In what is a growing crisis here in L.A., homeless encampments are in just about every L.A. neighborhood. Skid Row is tent after tent. Now a federal judge ordering that L.A. City and County offer housing to every homeless man, woman, and child on Skid Row within 180 days. It comes as L.A. Mayor Eric Garcetti is vowing to spend close to $1 billion in the coming year to get many of L.A. County's 66,000 homeless off the streets. Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
One man was killed and another injured when the gunman opened fire at a convenience store in Upper Macungie Township, Pennsylvania. Lehigh County District Attorney Jim Martin credited an employee of the convenience store for quick thinking.
He ushered 2 prospective customers from the parking lot into the Wawa, and he alerted the employees in the Wawa to shelter in place, and he locked the doors.
The suspect, police say, walked away from the scene and took his own life. American Airlines is easing back into pre-pandemic service starting June 1st. Passengers in the main cabin will be offered soft drinks. Liquor will make a return to the airline sometime in the summer, the airline says. Federal health officials are still urging everyone to wear masks on flights. This is ABC News.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Most people know that Mr. Clean Magic Eraser removes crayon and scuff marks from walls, but did you know it even cleans tough kitchen and bathroom messes that are sometimes tough to tackle? Just wet, squeeze, and erase gray soap scum on your bathtub. Erase cloudy hard water spots in your shower. Erase burnt-on stovetop messes. So for all your tough kitchen and bathroom messes, try Mr. Clean Magic Eraser.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
I'm Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
This is ONN.
The investigation continues into yesterday's incident in Columbus in which a police officer shot and killed a 16-year-old girl. Krista Frost with affiliate station WBNS-TV in Columbus has more.
Makia Bryant is her name, and she was taken to Mount Carmel East where she died, and now her mom Paula is asking for justice for her daughter.
I don't know all the details about what happened here, but it needs to stop. Policies and procedures need to be in effect, and not only in effect, they need to be utilized.
Paula Bryant, that teen's mother, she says that it was her daughter, Micaiah, who originally placed the call for help to police officers. We do know that BCI is handling this investigation.
And a mental health counselor in Cleveland says the emotions associated with the death of George Floyd and the subsequent trial are important for parents to discuss with their kids. Laura Queso with affiliate WKYC-TV in Cleveland has more.
We went to family counselor Dr. Yvonne Glass. Dr. Glass says, talk to them.
We need to talk to them about how there are people that are on both sides of this. But what do you see? To have those hard conversations. Do you see that an injustice happened here? How would you approach it? What are your feelings about it? And what will you do differently so that hopefully we are not here a year from now repeating the same thing?
I'm Laura Queso.
For a look at state news anytime, visit ONNradio.com. I'm Daniel Barnett on the Ohio News Network.
Stand by. You're back to live and local programming in moments on the Watchdog.
See the Wheeling Nailers in person Sunday, April 25th as they go against the Fort Wayne Comets. Puck drops 4:10. Enjoy great family fun and entertainment with the Nailers, proud affiliates of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and watch players who may become future NHL stars. Experience the 29th season of pro hockey in Wheeling. Get tickets now for the Nailers game, Sunday, April 25th at Westbanco Arena. Call 304-234-GOAL or visit WheelingNailers.com. This is Nail City.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
A serious injury from an accident can be just the start of your worries. What if you cannot return to work? How do you take care of your family if you're disabled? At Gelner Law Offices, we represent seriously injured people and understand their problem. We know how to get you fair compensation. We will work hard to make sure you get the money you deserve for your losses. Don't go it alone. If you're hurt in an accident, call us at 304-242-2900 or visit us at gelnerlaw.com.
We'd like to help.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker Darnell Foster with a look at your local weather forecast for your Wednesday. After a few early morning snowflakes and raindrops, it'll just be a mostly cloudy, cold afternoon with a high near 43, the overnight low of 29 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Clouds breaking for limited sunshine for your Thursday with temperatures in the lower 40s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors. News, talk, sports, and rock is all right here, right now. Back to Real Big Talk with Big Rick on the Watchdog.
Well, she got her daddy's car and she cruised through the hamburger stand now. See, she forgot all about the library like she told her old man now. And with the radio blasting goes cruising just as fast as she can now. And she'll have fun, fun, fun till her daddy takes a T-bird away. Fun, fun, fun till her daddy takes a T-bird away. Well, the girls can't stand her cause she walks, looks and drives like an ace. You walk like an ace now, you walk like an ace. She makes the Indy 500 look like a Roman chariot race. Like an ace now, you look like an ace.
Welcome back. I'm Big Rick. Lola is here, and we're joined by Stephen Allen Adams. You know him from his stories in The Intelligencer and writing for Ogden newspapers around the state. And Steve, I thought maybe this week would be a little bit easier for you, but apparently I was wrong. I'm sure you've been very busy this week.
Goodness, man, no. This has been such a unbusy week. Today was like the most exciting thing, and today, in my mind, is a light day. So,
what a wild week.
Yeah, no doubt about that. But no, things aren't too crazy right now. But I mean, we're starting to get into a little bit of a busy season here as we go into the next week for sure, especially on the federal level.
Let's start first with Governor Jim. You covered the press conference today at noon?
Yes, I did, and interesting information to come out of that for sure. We have You asked me a couple weeks ago what's the goal, what's the number to reach before we can get back to some semblance of normal, and now we have that number. They determined that eligible West Virginians age 16 and older account for about when you round up, about 1.5 million people in West Virginia. And right now we're at 50.9% of our state eligible COVID-19 vaccine eligible population that have partial vaccination, which means they either have the first shot of Pfizer or the first shot of Moderna, so they'll be getting their second shots here in a couple weeks. The governor said today that if we can get to 70% of partial vaccination, that will be when you start to see indoor mask mandates lifted. So we now have a target to try to hit to get us back to some semblance of normalcy. Some obviously social distancing regulations, occupancy regulations would still be in effect and things of that nature. But obviously, governor is trying to use the carrot versus the stick to try to get West Virginians that still haven't gotten their vaccination or their first dose to try to get them to get those appointments scheduled. And there's certainly no shortage of supply.
Yeah, that's something that Lola and I chatted about briefly at the end of the first hour, that to me it almost seems like the people that will get it on their own time will get it whenever they feel like it, and then of course there's going to be people that absolutely just won't get it. But to me, I feel like we're in kind of that gray area of like, yeah, I'm not against it, but I'll go when I can, which of course does not speed up to that 70% number.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We are in a situation now, and I'm trying to write about this in a measured way because it's easy for people to write these doom and gloom articles, which you see all the time and drive me nuts as a reporter myself, where, yes, we are seeing a decrease in the number of people getting their vaccinations. That's true. That a lot of that is due specifically to the fact that the people that really, really wanted one got in line immediately, got their names on the list, started calling health departments and pharmacies, started trying to, almost sitting outside of pharmacies, asking for drugs, in this case for a good reason, because they're wanting their COVID vaccine. So the people that really wanted them got them. So naturally, the demand is going to be high up front, and that's going to slink down. Now the situation we're dealing with are, for example, people that are busy. They work a lot. They just haven't scheduled an appointment either with their pharmacy or with their health department or through the state. But there's certainly no shortage of vaccine doses, but they just haven't got around to it yet. It's sort of thing that happens with the flu shot. Then you have younger people between 16 and I think they said 35 or 39 today, which are obviously what are driving a lot of our numbers right now. Our numbers aren't really high. They're kind of staying flat. Give or take in about the mid and upper 7,000 range of active cases. So you're talking about a group of young people that haven't done it yet. Either they feel invulnerable, they're not that worried about it, even though, especially with some of the variants, they are still super spreaders because they can get it, be asymptomatic, not realize they have it, and still spread it around. Now, luckily, the majority, I believe 77% of our seniors in the state are partially vaccinated, and the goal they set today for that to get to is 85%. So we're well on our way to protecting our old people, who are usually the ones that get this and get it bad and get in the hospital and die from it. And then finally, you have your vaccine hesitant people, which have multiple reasons for that. Some of it is nonsensical, and some of it is just the type of things you normally hear with vaccines, or people that have fear of needles, or there's all sorts of reasons. But there is a hesitancy out there, and it's even been measured, not to single out a specific group, but I'm going to have to. Republicans and evangelicals seem to be where the hesitancy is the highest.
I read it. So we're talking to Stephen Allen Adams. He is, his stuff from the Intelligencer. He writes for Ogden newspapers around the state, covers state government. And I read a story last week, Steve, about, I guess, 95% of evangelical church leaders say that they would at some point consider getting the vaccine, but the number of followers is exponentially lower. So what it's probably going to take is for some of that 95% that said they, quote, would, to actually go ahead and do it. And I don't know how you, I mean, in my world, we call it target market. How do we get a target marketing campaign led towards evangelicals that lead congregations to get them vaccinated? I don't know how you do it, but that is definitely a story that's been well written, not just in West Virginia, but around the nation.
Yeah, and I can tell you here in this state, you know, in Hoyer, former retired General James Hoyer, that heads up the state interagency task force for vaccines, pretty much said today, and they've said this before, but they're adamant about this. If you are a church, if you are a civic organization, if you are a business or big manufacturing entity, if you are a sports league, if you are a Shasta, card playing group, local senior center, call us. We will come to you. We will bring you vaccines. We will get you vaccinated. They understand, and I know that they're also directly reaching out to leaders of these groups and churches and things like that. Sort of for the same reason you just talked about there. There may be hesitancy in the congregation, but people do trust their pastors, and if there's a pastor that would be willing to open up their church, and I've seen this in a few places already, open up their church at the vaccination site or whatnot, that might be enough to encourage it. Right now they are working in groups of 5, the vaccinated groups of 5 or 10, because that's still 10 people to have a vaccine in their arms. So they will come to you. All you got to do is call the state, and you can go to vaccinate.wv.gov to pull up that phone number. But they are willing to come. Again, no shortage right now of vaccine doses, even with the Johnson & Johnson pause. We are not, it was only maybe even 2 months ago that we were still dealing with high demand, low supply, and it's very much the opposite problem now. There is no shortage. You can go to pretty much any Walgreens website and get in within like a day.
Actually, right here, up where we are, you can go straight to the Highlands, and at the Michael's, there's an old Michael's craft store up there, and basically they're just walk in, just walk in. At this point, it's not so much the idea of finding an appointment and making an appointment for, I think, people that are still like willing to do it, but not necessarily in a hurry to do it. It's finding the time, because it's not finding the vaccine, and we've talked about this quite a bit on this program, that if you want it, you can get it right now. There are places locally that you can do that, and we check in every once in a while. Our guy Mark from Marshall County will call us as part of the health department, and he keeps us updated on that. So at this point in our region, getting it isn't. I mean, it's not even I don't want to take a day off of work. It's like, really, you need to have a half hour, and you can go get it on your own schedule right now. Steve, let's make some sense of what the governor wants to. What do the new relaxed rules mean? Because yesterday, when Lola and I were reading this, are we still social distancing? How does all of this play out? What are these rules? Or he said he was cleaning up some 93 executive orders or something. What does that equate to now?
Well, I don't know that you or the public in general want to notice specific changes per se. One of the big things was there is no limit on outdoor gatherings as far as that goes. It had been 100. It had gone down to 25 at the worst of the pandemic. But those have basically been completely lifted. Now, obviously, social distancing is still encouraged in those circumstances. I believe most of the occupancy regulations in businesses such as grocery stores. They've been lessened, but they're still in effect to some extent. So there's more people allowed inside, but you still got to maintain social distancing. Go down alternate aisles, things of that nature. Probably the big one that really escaped everybody when the governor announced this Monday. He actually clarified this today, because I didn't even pick up on it, and it was a little confusing, which is in regards to the indoor mask order. That has been lessened to some extent, too, for people that are doing active physical activities. Say, if you're in a gym, on a treadmill, you don't have to wear a mask anymore. If you are a high school basketball player running down the court, you don't need to be wearing a mask while you're playing basketball on the court. Now, you have to clarify that because, like any rule, everyone wants to try to find a way around it. So, that means, if I'm a basketball player on a bench, I don't have to wear my mask. No, you still have to wear your mask. You're not doing any physical activity. You're just sitting on the bench. Same goes for coaches. Same if you're not, exercising in the gym, if you're just sitting on the bench or whatnot, or waiting for the next exercise machine to open up, you need to have your mask on. But beyond that, if you are engaging in physical activity, active physical activity, you do not have to wear your mask indoors.
Boy, this is a long, drawn-out process. Steve, we're going to take a quick break. Will you stick around? You got a couple minutes to come back with us?
Yes, I'm good.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more with Stephen Allen Adams from The Intelligencer right here on The Watchdog.
It's time we put a stop to a few things. Right now, the D.C. establishment has all the power. The For the People Act will stop that. Billionaires buying West Virginia's elections? The For the People Act will stop that. Politicians and their families getting rich while we pay for it? Yep. The For the People Act will stop that too. Senator Manchin, you've always had West Virginia's back. Don't stop now. Stop corruption in its tracks and support the For the People Act, paid for by Represent Us. It's time we put a stop to a few things. Americans voting on machines that aren't made in America? The For the People Act will stop that. States using hackable voting machines with no paper trail? The For the People Act will stop that. Elections with no way to do careful audits or recounts by hand? Yep, the For the People Act will stop that too. Senator Manchin, you've always had West Virginia's back. Don't stop now. Stop election interference and support the For the People Act, paid for by Represent Us.
Hey, I'm going to the kitchen. Can I grab you a Coors Light?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Huh. I never knew there was a zip line in my fridge. Hey, buddy! Yeah! You got 2 Coors Lights up there?
You got it!
Always brewed down to 34 degrees. With a taste as cold as the Rockies, only Coors Light gives you refreshment every time.
Here you go. 2 Coors Lights.
Awesome, man. Wow, these are really cold.
That's the only way I deliver it.
Sure. I mean, you being a mountain climber and all?
Yep.
You probably need a pretty warm coat in there, huh?
Yep.
Hey, Ben!
Yeah!
Ask him if he has any nachos.
You got any nachos in there?
No.
Just icy cold Coors Light?
Yep.
That makes sense. It is the Rockies.
Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. With great beer comes great responsibility.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts. Follow us on Facebook for the latest news, show updates, podcasts, alerts, and live video streams from the Valley's only network dedicated to local, community-driven talk radio. The Watchdog.
Shiver in the dark, it's raining in the park, but meantime sound of the river, you stop and you hold everything. A band is blowing Dixie, double fall time. You feel alright when you hear the music ring. Step inside, but you don't see too many faces.
Welcome back. It's 325. I'm Big Rick. That's Lola. Stephen Allen Adams joining us from the Intelligencer and Ogden newspapers for Around the State. He writes state government. And Steve, we finished that first segment there talking about the understanding of when and where you need to wear a mask and don't have to. And I'm just going to ask the obvious question here that Lola and I were just talking about with one another. How does this make any sense? You can get on a treadmill and heavy breathe, but if you're sitting on the bench waiting for your chance to go in and play, you have to wear your mask. To me, am I out of my mind, or does that seem odd to you too?
I don't know. I'm actually kind of on the opposite side of that one because obviously, the reason why is that you're obviously on a treadmill. If you're working out, obviously, I don't know if you've seen pictures of me recently, but I don't work out all that often, though I hit an exercise bike when I can. You're obviously breathing more because the big part of exercising is getting your heart rate up.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you're breathing more, it's harder to breathe anyway. And if you have a mask on, then that becomes even harder, and you might be overworking yourself more than what you should be. So I understand the logic of obviously this is a virus that is spread through breathing for sure. So when you're breathing more, you have a chance of spreading it more as well. So there's a little bit of a conundrum there. It's just, again, goes back to the thing that is going to kind of have to be the thing that rules the day, especially as more people get vaccinated and as more people purposely don't get vaccinated, is you got to assess risk. You got to figure out what your level of risk is going out. And, it's going to be different from, say, someone that's a little bit more, obese, that has comorbidities, that isn't vaccinated. The risk is going to be vastly different. They're going to have a higher risk of getting this versus someone that's vaccinated versus someone that is actively exercising and doing what they need to do to eat right and things of that nature. So the risks are different for everybody, and at some point we're going to get to the level, like we've talked about before, saturation, where we've gotten everybody vaccinated that wants to be vaccinated, and at that point, decisions are going to have to be made.
What did you ascertain is the idea of what happens when we do get into the state of West Virginia to that 70% mark of people that are at least partially vaccinated? What will that mean? How do the rules change at that moment?
Well, what specific rules will go out the window, I'm unsure of. The only one that the governor specifically mentioned today was the mask mandate, and I said I think he more or less did that as a carrot versus the stick. He's, if we're at 50.9% of eligible West Virginians that are partially vaccinated, really, if we try to at least get the pace back up, and it wouldn't be that hard for us to hit that 20%. Really, by the end of May, maybe even or at most by the end of June, depending on just on how fast people go. So I would imagine if we can hit that mark, I think you're going to see some evaluation of other rules. For example, starting I believe May 1st, you can have fairs and festivals, outdoor concert series. You can now perform indoors to a certain extent. A couple weekends ago, I sang karaoke on a patio. The first time I sang karaoke since probably the first or second week of March. And I got to tell you, it felt good to be able to sing a song again. So I think you're going to see some of those occupancy regulations probably go out the window because obviously, let's say, through our numbers, 70%, give or take, of people in a bar have the vaccine. Well, you're not really spreading much virus at that point. So you'll be able to do away with some of those regulations at that point. But as for any specifics on what would go away beyond mask mandates, that has not been said yet, but I expect we'll see some more details about that.
Yeah, I would think so. Steve, what else is happening in and around the Capitol these days? Obviously, that was the one that everybody's wondering when can we go back to doing what we like to do, and the vaccination rate seems like it's going pretty well for this state. But what else is happening? I know that Governor Justice had 3 more bills signed into law. Was it 3, I think?
Yeah, it was 3. For the most part, nothing that was terribly interesting or controversial, that sort of thing. One I think dealt with trying to get some more nurses in the programs, get more nurses in the state, things of that nature. I'm really kind of monitoring federal things at the moment, especially since, and I'll go ahead and tease this now, next week I will be in Washington, D.C., shadowing our 2 U.S. Senators, Joe Manchin and Shelley Moore Capito, Democrat and Republican. So I will be spending the day, or part of the day, with Senator Manchin on Tuesday, and I'll be spending part of the day Wednesday with Capito. And the interesting thing about that Wednesday as well is President Joe Biden will be giving his first joint address to Congress that day too. So I'm hoping I can stick around and cover that while I'm at the U.S. Capitol building as well. Speaking of Manchin, he talked with reporters today about a number of things, including the infrastructure plan by President Biden, which we have some broad details of, but there hasn't been a specific bill introduced. The price tag for that program right now is sitting about $2.3 trillion. I think Manchin's been pretty adamant today that you'll see that price tag probably go down as negotiations continue. You'll probably see, instead of one bill, multiple bills dealing with different aspects of infrastructure. I know both him and Capito are going to fight for trying to get more money to West Virginia, because obviously West Virginia particularly are coal mining communities. If they go through with some of the climate change legislation that they're wanting to do, that would basically encourage the production of electric vehicles, solar, wind power, things of that nature. Obviously, we've played a big role in the coal industry of firing up power plants and melting steel. But as time goes on, West Virginia's going to need to probably receive some funding to try to deal with the fact that we just don't have as many of those jobs at the moment.
This is something I don't see that's going to start up anytime soon. Are there any, I guess, well-laid plans to get some of those people into a different industry, or somehow push them into I guess maybe a similar industry that is less destructive to the environment? Because that's a big part of what this state is made up of.
Well, not yet, but I think they're hoping that they can work something into this Biden infrastructure proposal to do just that. Certainly there would be an incentive to try to bring solar panel manufacturing, windmill manufacturing. I mean, keep in mind, we don't make a lot of steel here anymore, and a lot of these things like windmills are being built. For example, parts of those are being built in Brazil. Solar panels, China kind of has the corner on that market, and we could really be in the same situation with China that we were in really in the 1970s with Saudi Arabia in the Mideast in regards to oil. If we're not careful, there's an incentive to try to bring some of those jobs back here. I know Monday, Senator Manchin and UMWA President, United Mine Workers President Cecil Roberts actually took part in a Q&A with the National Press Club to talk about those specific issues. And of course, obviously, Cecil Roberts would like to see us mine more coal, and we are actually going to be seeing an increase in coal mining with a lot of exports, because there's a big demand for coal overseas. But with that said, Cecil Roberts would like to see those jobs brought back to Appalachia and West Virginia's coal fields for sure. But the jobs are going to have to be well-paying. And, of course, coal mine jobs, people think of it as a dirty job, and it is. But over the last 20, 30 years, coal mine jobs actually pay a decent amount of money, and the question is, would they be making the same amount of money or less amount of money manufacturing these things? That remains to be seen. So the goal is to bring these jobs and make them good-paying jobs with benefits, and obviously they want to see the union membership grow as well.
Yeah, I would think so. Stephen Allen Adams from The Intelligencer, before we let you go, let's talk about broadband real quick. We saw the opportunity. It came up to invest in broadband in the state. It didn't happen. And is the idea, is this state just waiting for the federal government, whether it's part of the infrastructure bill, however it gets looked at and passed, to broaden that opportunity? Because to me, it's probably one of the most vitally important things that this state can do to grow and make itself more appealing to other places, for people to come from other places.
Sure. Well, just to be clear, I mean, broadband is getting in this state is getting a lot of money right now. You've got the RDOF program through the FCC that has awarded money to multiple internet service providers to expand internet to unserved parts of the state over the next 10 years. You have I don't have the specific amount of money in front of me, but you have a big chunk of change that's going for broadband expansion that came out of the most recent American Rescue Plan, COVID stimulus plan that came out here a month or so ago. So there's going to be a lot of money in that, and a lot of money is going specifically to counties, cities, that can use that money for broadband infrastructure as well. The West Virginia legislature passed a very big broadband regulatory bill that was meant to kind of take some handcuffs off the industry for being able to not only just build out internet access, but expand fiber, middle mile, last mile fiber to rural communities as well. These companies can share, trenches to be able to get fiber out there. So this battle is being fought on a number of fronts. And I think you're going to see some good things happen within the next 5 years and definitely over the next 10 years to really beef up internet, especially now we're starting to see all these programs meant to try to entice remote workers to move to West Virginia. You got the Brad Smith program, which is going into place up in Morgantown to give grants and outdoor recreational opportunities to dangle in front of people to move to West Virginia. And Charleston, the city of Charleston, where I'm at, just unveiled a kind of similar program too to try to lure remote workers into the Charleston metro area. So we got to have broadband, and I think some of these things will help make that happen.
I really hope so. What can we what stories can we look for in the Intelligencer from you this week, Steve?
Sure. You're going to see a story on today's governor's briefing. You'll see a write-up from my conversation with Senator Joe Manchin, and just keep in mind my content will be light next week, but you will probably get an exclusive first-hand report from me from the grounds of the U.S. Capitol, talking about my conversations with Senators Manchin and Capito, what's going on in our nation's capital.
I'm really excited, not only for you to do that, because I'm sure it's, what a surreal thing, especially after the year, the beginning of the year, for you to go back to the Capitol and be there and kind of see how it differs from the last visit that you made, and certainly with Joe Manchin kind of being the star of the U.S. Senate right now. I'm sure that is going to be an interesting take, and I really look forward to hearing about all of that next week, pal.
Yeah, no, it's going to be real interesting talking with Manchin and talking to a Capito, who most people don't stop to realize, but all of this is going to have to go through the committee that she is the ranking member on. So this bill will be crafted by both Manchin and Capito. So West Virginia stands to benefit either way substantially from whatever comes out of this infrastructure bill.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to hear about it, and I'm certainly just excited to hear about the situation that you see on the grounds of the Capitol. Stephen Allen Adams, thank you so much, pal. Have a great weekend. We'll check in with you next week.
See you, brother.
All right. That would be exciting. I mean, to me, it would be probably intimidating, but that's what Steve does. He's able to have those conversations, and that's what he does. So looking forward to that next week. We'll take a break. We'll come back with more on the Watchdog.
Depth and versatility, that's the key for West Virginia University's offensive line. Hi, everybody. I'm Tony Caridi. That story coming up on today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger.
Did you know that 1 in 8 Americans struggle with hunger? Yet more than 40% of the food we produce is thrown out. At Kroger, we know we can do something about this. We're donating more food to local food banks through our partnership with Feeding America. And we're working with World Wildlife Fund to end food waste. But we can't do it alone, and we hope you'll join us in creating a world with zero hunger and zero waste. Visit thekrogerco.com to learn how you can help.
Love getting prices that are lower than low on backyard favorites like grill-ready hamburgers and fresh-picked strawberries? Then shop at Kroger. We give you more ways to save on the fresh you love with tools like the Kroger app, where you can find personalized coupons on top of weekly sales, plus rewards like fuel points, giving you prices that are lower than the everyday low. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Versatility, that is the word that West Virginia University offensive line coach Matt Moore has been preaching all spring practice season. Versatility as in he wants one player to be able to play several different positions. He says it is going to be key to West Virginia's success.
What I've tried to do here is not just develop guys that left tackles or left guards. I've really worked hard to develop guys that can play at least 4 of the 5 positions. Center's a little different. You know, you got to be able to snap, but really worked hard at developing some depth of guys that now I feel like I have guys that I can move around, and if they're twitchy enough and long enough to play left tackle, they can play anywhere else. You know, and if you're good enough to play right tackle, you can play right tackle, right guard, left guard. And that's the way we've tried to do this thing, is get it to where I got, and I'm constantly moving them all. How much you guys have noticed, but like I'm constantly moving people around, especially, right guard, right tackle, playing some center, in the left side, they're playing left guard, left tackle. So that's really helped develop the depth. So we don't have to go out there and have 2 at each position. I got my top 5. If I can find 3 more, one that can snap, and then the other 2 that can play right and left guard and tackle, I feel good about having some depth going in there. But, really right now, I feel like, the first 2 deep we can function better than we've ever functioned.
That is WVU offensive line coach Matt Moore. The Mountaineers continuing their practice sessions this week as they prepare for the finale. Saturday, the gold and blue scrimmage game begins at 1 o'clock at Milan Puskar Stadium. Tickets are available for $10 by visiting WVUgame.com. And that is today's Mountaineer Report. It's brought to us by Kroger's, the official grocer of WVU Athletics. I'm Tony Caridi on the Mountaineer Sports Network from Learfield.
This is your VSIN action update on the Watchdog. Simple Green is perfect for making your auto, RV, cycling, boating, and other sporting equipment look like new. Visit them at simplegreen.com.
The Penguins outscored the New Jersey Devils 7-6 yesterday at PPG Paints Arena. The Penguins were the $2.60 favorite. The total of 6 sailed over at 13. Baseball today, the Pirates and the Tigers will play a doubleheader at Comerica Park in Detroit after yesterday's rainout. The second game, Spencer Turnbull on the mound for the Tigers, $1.25 favorite against Mitch Keller plus 105, 8.5 under the total. The NASCAR Cup Series on the track at Talladega, the Geico 500. Denny Hamlin is the 10-1 favorite on the Super Speedway. For VSIN.com, I'm Mike Sennett on the Watchdog.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-362-2000, 362-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. I'm a private real estate investor who can solve your real estate problems fast for cash. Do you want to sell and just be done with it? Okay, great. I buy vacant properties, boarded up houses, pre-foreclosures, and inherited properties. I also buy apartment buildings, rental portfolios, divorce homes. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. I look forward to solving your real estate problems today. Give me a call for an all-cash offer at 614-362-2000, 614-362-2000.
Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection. Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to
Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 want to thank the owners and contractors of the Ohio Valley for using their locally trained workers to help build for the future. Local 83 helps design, fabricate, and build the gas infrastructure for the oil and gas industry here in the Ohio Valley. Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 is 300 members strong and growing. They also do residential, commercial, and industrial work on both sides of the river. For more information, call Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 at 304-233-4445.
It's time we put a stop to a few things. Right now, the D.C. establishment has all the power. The For the People Act will stop that. Billionaires buying West Virginia's elections? The For the People Act will stop that. Politicians and their families getting rich while we pay for it? Yep. The For the People Act will stop that too. Senator Manchin, you've always had West Virginia's back. Don't stop now. Stop corruption in its tracks and support the For the People Act, paid for by Represent Us. It's time we put a stop to a few things. Americans voting on machines that aren't made in America? The For the People Act will stop that. States using hackable voting machines with no paper trail? The For the People Act will stop that. Elections with no way to do careful audits or recounts by hand? Yep, the For the People Act will stop that too. Senator Manchin, you've always had West Virginia's back. Don't stop now. Stop election interference and support the For the People Act, paid for by Representatives.
See the Wheeling Nailers in person Sunday, April 25th, as they go against the Fort Wayne Commies. Puck drops 4:10. Enjoy great family fun and entertainment with the Nailers, proud affiliates of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and watch players who may become future NHL stars. Experience the 29th season of pro hockey in Wheeling. Get tickets now for the Nailers game, Sunday, April 25th at Westbanco Arena. Call 304-234-GOAL or visit WheelingNailers.com. This is Nail City.
Just got back today. Them wild-eyed boys that had been away haven't changed, had much to say. But man, I still think them cats are crazy. They were asking if you were around, how you was, where you could be found. I told them you were living downtown, driving all the old men crazy. The boys are back in town, the boys are back in town. I said,
welcome back to the Watchdog. I'm Big Rick. Lola is here, and this is our program, Real Big Talk. The NFL Draft gets ready to happen next week. I think it's Thursday, the 29th. So, I think that would be next Thursday. And Justin Fields, the Ohio State quarterback, certainly expected to garner a lot of attention and go very early in the NFL Draft. It has just been released, though, that Justin Fields, and he has disclosed this to NFL teams, he has been managing his epilepsy for a very long time. And I guess in his family, other people that have been epileptic in his family have outgrown it into their 20s. It's hard to believe when you think about someone who is about to embark on an NFL career, and hopefully successfully. Seems like a pretty nice kid. You have to think about he could possibly outgrow this into his 20s, but right now is where he's going to get his first opportunity. I wonder if teams will lay off of him from dealing with this. We've never heard about it before, so it hasn't affected his play on the field at any point. But this is just breaking news. Justin Fields has confirmed to the NFL teams that are looking at him that he is managing his epilepsy. So we certainly wish him the best. This is supposed to be, and your team may be one of the teams that looks to address this issue. This is a quarterback-rich class. In fact, they're saying 5 quarterbacks could go in the first round.
Yeah.
I know my team's not going to do anything about it because Ben's going to play until he's 49 years old, so we can just go ahead and forget the Steelers going to address any sort of quarterback issues. But Detroit might have one. Now, they do have a quarterback that came back in Jared Goff. I see your eyes rolling. Part of the possibility may be that Jared Goff is on the block for someone who would want to take on Jared Goff. I think he came with a pretty hellacious salary following him from.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Detroit overpays for people like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's their intention or they plan on rolling with him or not, but this is going to be a rich quarterback class. Trevor Lawrence, the expected number 1. Fields is certainly going to go high. The kid from North Dakota, who is, his name escapes me, but he is also very much sought after. This is going to be a big move. And I read that this was interesting, and who knows how truth to this rumor there is, but I guess somehow the Patriots plan to steal the quarterback that created all the controversy in Green Bay. I think his name is Jordan Love, that they drafted, and much to the dismay of Jeopardy host Aaron Rodgers, they got sideways about it, but it seems to have worked it out. Obviously, Green Bay had a heck of a season, and he had a monster year. Did Aaron Rodgers, but yeah, I mean, I think we're going to see wheel of quarterbacks coming up here in about a week, and I think there's still deals to be made before we get to the draft.
Oh, I'm sure there will be.
Yeah,
I'm sure there will be.
Yeah, I think people are still jockeying for position, and it begs to throw his name into the conversation. The Texans are going to have to make a decision on what they do. Deshaun Watson was certainly not going to play for the Texans. I'm never going to suit up for the Texans. I don't want to be a Texan. I want to leave Texas. I don't want it. Then, of course, the game changed as he has 20-plus accusers.
Yeah, 22, I think.
Yeah, of sexual misconduct in being inappropriate. The Texans have about a week to figure out, what do we do here? Because this is where they're going to have to. I mean, do you realize, and I've never seen this happen before, so to me it's just kind of a theory I've come up with. At what point, if things do happen with Deshaun Watson and he either refuses to play or is ineligible to play, or however this shakes out legally for him, because right now I don't think any of these charges are criminal charges.
No, I think these are all civil suits.
Yeah, these are all civil suits and civil complaints.
You better pray he gets a job somewhere.
Well, he still technically has one. He's just not the job he wants. I wonder if a team could actually sue a player, because what is about to happen here is, the Texans probably weren't going to be that good anyway. But if he is unable to play or refuses to play or unwilling to play, however it shakes out, the financial gain of the team is now at stake. If they have to roll with a second or third string quarterback or go out there and sign somebody who they know is not going to carry them to the Super Bowl, Deshaun Watson, in effect, has damaged the product. He's damaged the product. And I am really interested to see how that shakes out for them in this quarterback-rich environment. Because the Texans weren't very good last year. I don't know where the draft order is, but they probably have a pretty nice pick. I wonder what they'll do.
Well, if I were there advising them, I would go ahead and pick a quarterback, because at some point you're going to, put all the legal questions aside. You need somebody to be able to step in at a moment's notice anyway. You got to have a second string. So go ahead and get yourself somebody that has a lot of promise that even if they don't play this year much because Watson comes back, you got somebody waiting in the wings, which is what all freshmen or rookie quarterbacks should do. As far as his, if he refuses to play, that's a breach of contract. And I would venture to say that somewhere in his contract, there's a morality clause. And simply because these are not criminal charges, they are damaging the team, and he could be let go, and that would negate his contract too, because he has put, the team in a bad light. Now, you'd have to prove how much his name has damaged the name of the team, and that might be really hard to quantify, unless all the women in Texas would say, I'm not buying any season tickets because you have this guy. So they would lose income on ticket sales or merchandise sales. I just think that would be a hard thing to quantify, how much he has damaged their name or, their reputation. But if he refuses to show up, if he refuses to play, that's it. You just violated your contract.
I wonder how that's gonna. I wonder how that's gonna look. And I did just look it up. You want to talk about a team that's in a bad way? The Texans actually don't have a number one draft. They don't have a first round draft pick. They sent theirs to Miami, and I think it went via Miami to San Francisco. So they don't even necessarily have this option.
What is their draft pick?
They don't pick until the second round. So, this is really a very strange situation that they're not going to pick until sometime in the second round. And that is really, when you think about how many quarterbacks are available, and we started this conversation talking about Justin Fields, who has revealed that he has epilepsy, although he's managing it, and it hasn't affected his play in any way, shape, or form, that this is going to be a really interesting week, as we're about a week away from the NFL draft. It's next Thursday, the 29th. But, I think we're going to get a lot of side stories out of this, and Houston's really going to have to make that decision. And that may be a place where, like I said, if the Lions don't plan to roll with Jared Goff, maybe that's a place that he ends up. Because they're going, the Texans don't look like they're in very good shape with draft pick issues and obviously now quarterback issues. It looks like, again, Trevor Lawrence will probably go number one. Number two is the Jets. I don't know, you have to. The most Jets thing ever was the Jets winning a game that knocked them out of having the chance in the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes. I mean, to me. And look, Justin Fields could be great. The kid from North Dakota could be great. There's people out there that can really come out and be great quarterbacks. I mean, at the end of the day, as much as I may trash Ben Roethlisberger was a great quarterback. Any team in the league would have been happy to have the playability, certainly, for the first 10 to 12 years of Ben Roethlisberger's playing career. So I would think that you can't ever put that aside. So guys can come out later and from smaller schools and really turn out to be excellent, outstanding quarterbacks. Guys could go to places like Michigan and have a terrible college career and end up being the best quarterbacks in the world. So all that can happen. But to me, the most Jets thing ever was jetting themselves out of the first number one draft pick and what looks to be a can't miss on Trevor Lawrence. I would imagine that considering they traded Darnold, they are certainly going to a quarterback in the first round. That quarterback very well could be Justin Fields, depending on how that shapes out for the Jets. But the Justin Fields news just broke about his epilepsy issues. When we come back, we'll get into the 4 o'clock hour, and we're going to have to talk about the hard stuff, but it is time. 304-214-1600. We'll talk about all the things happening in the world next here on The Watchdog.
Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Center.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The U.S. entering a new phase in the race to vaccinate, marking milestones, but the CDC says in the past week the number of Americans getting vaccinated has dipped slightly. Today, the president urging Americans to get the shot.
The president celebrating 200 million vaccine shots, doubling his 100-day goal, and announcing that companies won't lose money by giving workers time off to get their shots.
Employers can get reimbursed for the cost of providing paid leave.
President Biden saying the IRS is sending information to companies so workers get paid vaccination leave if they need it, and employers don't lose money providing it. Andy Field, ABC News, Washington.
A day after a jury found former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin guilty in the murder of George Floyd, the Justice Department announcing a civil investigation into the Minneapolis Police Department on possible excessive force patterns. Senate Leader Chuck Schumer also vowing lawmakers will take up measures on police reform.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the Senate will not rest until police reform is passed.
A single verdict in a single trial will never be enough.
Schumer pointed to a need to reform police practice and training, along with the legal protections that he says grant too great a shield to police officers guilty of misconduct. This so-called qualified immunity remains a major sticking point in negotiations with Republicans. Elizabeth Schulze, ABC News, Washington.
Police in Columbus, Ohio, releasing the body cam video from yesterday's shooting of a black teen by a police officer. Police say that officer shot 16-year-old Makia Bryant during an attempted stabbing. Columbus Public Safety Director Ned Pettis.
I understand the outrage and emotion around this incident. A teenage girl is dead.
An independent investigation is underway into the officer's actions. You're listening to ABC News.
Here's football legend Howie Long for Skechers Arch Fit shoes.
Do you like comfort? Of course you do. Everyone does. But if you've never tried Arch Fit shoes from Skechers, you're missing out on next level comfort. Saying you like comfort but not trying Arch Fit is like saying you like Italian food but you've never tried pasta. You're missing out on the number one thing. Because with Arch Fit, Skechers created a whole new kind of comfort. They teamed up with podiatrists who used over 20 years of data to create a shoe that provides total foot and arch support for all-day comfort. Arch Fit distributes support across the arch no matter what foot type you have. You don't need an arch problem to love how they feel. And you say you have a passion for comfort but haven't tried them? That's like saying you're a sports fan but have never watched football. It makes no sense. So if you're the kind of person who claims to like comfort, stop what you're doing and try a pair of Arch Fit exclusively from Skechers. Then you'll finally understand true comfort.
See all the styles of comfortable, machine-washable Arch Fit shoes now at Skechers.com.
More than 4 of 10 Americans are breathing polluted air. That according to the American Lung Association's annual State of the Air report. The report also finds that people of color are 61% more likely than white Americans to live in counties with unhealthy air. Prosecutors in New York moving to dismiss thousands of cases tied to a statute known as walking while trans.
Prosecuting prostitution, Manhattan District Attorney Cy Vance said does not make us safer. In court, he moved to dismiss thousands of cases that charged loitering for the purpose of prostitution, a statute the state eliminated because it disproportionately targeted transgender people. The DA called it a relic of a different era. He also moved to dismiss more than 900 prostitution and unlicensed massage cases as part of a new policy to decline to prosecute those crimes that he said marginalized the vulnerable. Aaron Katursky, ABC News, New York.
In Washington today, members of Congress, family, and friends celebrating the life of Democratic Congressman Alcee Hastings. House Majority Whip James Clyburn remembering when he first met Hastings.
I knew almost instantly that I was meeting someone special. His brilliance was evident, and his keen sense of humor shone brightly.
Representative Hastings of Florida, one of the long-term congressmen, died 2 weeks ago at the age of 84. This is ABC News.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/work. That's ZipRecruiter.com/work.
Michelle Franz in ABC News.
This is ONN.
The investigation continues into yesterday's incident in Columbus in which a police officer shot and killed a 16-year-old girl. Krista Frost with affiliate station WBNS-TV in Columbus has more.
Micaiah Bryant is her name, and she was taken to Mount Carmel East where she died, and now her mom Paula is asking for justice for her daughter.
I don't know all the details about what happened here, but it needs to stop. Policies and procedures need to be in effect, and not only in effect, they need to be utilized.
Paula Bryant, that teen's mother, she says that it was her daughter, Micaiah, who originally placed the call for help to police officers. We do know that BCI is handling this investigation.
And a mental health counselor in Cleveland says the emotions associated with the death of George Floyd and the subsequent trial are important for parents to discuss with their kids. Laura Queso with affiliate WKYC-TV in Cleveland has more.
We went to family counselor Dr. Yvonne Glass. Dr. Glass says, talk to them.
We need to talk to them about how there are people that are on both sides of this. But what do you see? To have those hard conversations. Do you see that an injustice happened here? How would you approach it? What are your feelings about it? And what will you do differently so that hopefully we are not here a year from now repeating the same thing?
I'm Laura Queso.
For a look at state news anytime, visit ONNradio.com. I'm Daniel Barnett on the Ohio News Network.
Live and local talk is just around the corner. Stay right here on The Watchdog.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them, just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
CA House Music has all the gear to make your music legendary. With all the best gear, including Fender, Epiphone, Yamaha, and more, CA House will have you rocking in no time. Get the most for your money with everyday low prices. And we meet or beat internet pricing. Play before you buy and let our product specialists help you pick out the instrument that's right for you. CA House Music, supporting local musicians since 1872. Play music for life.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker Darnell Foster with a look at your local weather forecast for your Wednesday. After a few early morning snowflakes and raindrops, it'll just be a mostly cloudy, cold afternoon with a high near 43, the overnight low of 29 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Clouds breaking for limited sunshine for your Thursday with temperatures in the lower 40s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors. Keeping it real for the right, keeping it real for the left. 100% real talk is right here. Real Big Talk continues. Now on The Watchdog, here's Big Rick.
I think you're headed for a show it. You really don't remember. Was it something that he said? All the voices in your head calling Gloria, Gloria. Don't you think about it?
This is The Watchdog. I'm Big Rick. Lola is here. It is 10 after 4. We had such a fast-paced day. Just to recap for you, Derek Army has been named the interim head coach of the Wheeling Nailers. We talked to him and DJ Abasella earlier in the show in the 2 o'clock hour. And then, of course, last hour got everything in the state roundup from Stephen Allen Adams. So we really haven't had a chance to talk about the largest story. And yesterday, Lola, obviously, we turned it over to the ABC coverage for the announcement of guilty on all 3 counts. That would be second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter for Derek Chauvin in the George Floyd murder case. Yesterday it was kind of we weren't sure exactly what to talk about, so I don't want to put you in a bad spot. I don't know if you are able to talk about that or want to, but I know it's the biggest story in the world right now, and now being interwoven with another story that took place in Columbus yesterday. So we'll take it step by step. Obviously, yesterday afternoon, Derek Chauvin was convicted of murder, and he is for the next 8 weeks or so going to be in a maximum security prison awaiting sentencing. I talked to a friend of mine who it happened to be his birthday, but he also happens to live in Minneapolis, so we did talk about this morning. And he was describing what an incredible relief it was that the evening was peaceful.
Calm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, I would imagine that would be a very scary situation to live there. He doesn't live very far, actually, from where a lot of this stuff has taken place. And certainly there was another shooting down the road there, about 10 blocks away from where the trial was for Derek Chauvin. So, he described it as, thankfully this was calm and peaceful. But let's talk about it. This is something that changed our world. Certain people are saying justice is served. Some people are saying this isn't nearly enough. So I think we are at a point where nothing is ever going to be enough. Someone will always want whatever is at the next level. And I'm not saying that it is or isn't enough. All I'm saying is things can only be improved, I think, one step at a time. I think this is absolutely the right decision and right verdict. I mean, I have maintained that since the beginning. I also am tired of seeing people assume that all police officers and police are bad. And I think you're allowed to be on both sides of that argument. Is Derek Chauvin a murderer? Yeah, he absolutely was. And I think he did it with intent to not get up. I don't know if he kneeled on that man's neck until with the idea of killing him. But I also know that he had zero intention of stopping until that guy stopped moving. And to me, that means you had nothing but intent to make sure that guy stopped moving come hell or high water. And I think that, does the punishment fit the crime? I don't know. We don't know exactly.
Until he's sentenced.
Yeah, we won't know until he's sentenced. But this, I think, is the first step into hopefully some justice and peace for so many. I don't know what... I don't think this is over yet until the sentencing happens. I don't see anybody going light on this, though. I can't imagine that the sentence will be light. But then again, I don't know if this isn't just the beginning, as we've seen in the last the last week or so, and including what happened in Columbus last night. I don't know if this is just going to be a cycle of violence and protest. I don't know. I think this is a good step, though, because I think this is the right call.
now that there is a precedent, a big precedent set that police can be held accountable and can and will be charged in incidents like this, is the start to a more fair and equitable public safety and policing directives, looking at the way that things are handled. Each case has to be dealt with individually on the merits themselves. Because there are some shootings that are right, Now this one in Columbus, who knows? There's body cam.
Did you watch it?
You can't. Some of these body cam ones are because the officer was moving so quickly and doing things. You can't really tell. You can't really tell what's going on. Unlike the one with the kid and the fence and the gun that happened just a few days ago. I don't remember what city that was in. That one was kind of hard. At least he was stationary, but it was night. You still couldn't really see, what was going on. But at least for the first time in a long time, police are being held accountable for their actions. Before that, people like Chauvin just assumed he was an authority figure, and you don't mess with me. I am the law, and what I do is none of your business. Don't interfere with it. And for the first time in a long time, we've seen that that's not going to be the standard acceptance of this kind of behavior, which, it's about time. It's about time. I mean, we've heard too many examples of officers that just really do believe that, but they were like those two that pulled over that Army lieutenant, and pepper sprayed him and then threatened him with destroying his military career if he said anything. It was like, oops, sorry, if you don't say anything, I won't say anything. Well, sorry, officer, you don't have anything to say anyway, So there has to be accountability, and I think that's what's been missing for so long. I think that's what the people in every, whether it's Black Lives Matter or any other movement like that, have been asking for. Not leniency because of the color of someone's skin or their gender or anything like that. Accountability for acts that are not right.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with all of that. I think there's precedent now, and accountability is needed. Here's where I will say that I hope that things are looked at on a case-by-case basis. Derek Chauvin was a murderer. I mean, that was, you could see it in his eyes. He was fine with what he was doing. And again, I'm not a cop. I've never been a cop, and I am pro-cop. But these other examples that we're looking at, certainly the one we saw with Dante Wright, and the woman thought she was firing a taser. Does she need to pay for that mistake? Yes, it's an enormous mistake, and I have a feeling that, her life is going to change dramatically. And I do think it was a mistake. I don't know how you make that mistake, but I'm not a cop. I can't put myself in that moment. What I saw on the footage from last night, like Lola said, when officers are moving, it's really hard. It is unbelievable to think that you could look at the surface of Mars a lot clearer than you can look at a police cam, body cam. But really, when officers are moving and people are chasing, it is hard to tell. What I saw in that footage, it's a judgment call. But the girl that got shot, and this is tragic. Please don't mistake me not acknowledging the tragedy of a 16-year-old being shot. I also think there's a lot of tragedy in the fact that a 16-year-old was about to stab another 16-year-old. Yeah. There's a lot going on here. And again, that's where I think my frustration lies. is watching people just absolutely slam officers in every situation possible. And I get that it's frustrating. I get that a 16-year-old girl got shot. And that is beyond sad. But that girl was also about to stab another girl in the chest or neck area. I mean, she had a knife raised above her head to come down on her. We used to look at things like that as that cop probably saved that girl's life, and very well could have. And unfortunately, that cop also had to take a life to do so. To me, is not Derek Chauvin. Derek Chauvin is a murderer. To me, this cop in Columbus who did that, who had that shooting, I don't know why he shot her 4 times. I don't know the difference between why he used a gun and didn't use a taser. I don't know, because I'm not trained. I'm not police trained. But all I know is this: that man stopped another girl from getting stabbed. And that part of it needs to factor in. Derek Chauvin didn't do anybody any favors. He killed a man. That's garbage. This cop in Columbus had to make a quick decision when he saw a knife about to go into another human being's neck, head, or chest. And whether you can second guess his decision all you want, but nobody's second guessing this man's decision is a cop and has been in that situation before. And that, I think, is where we're missing the difference. We're missing the difference. We're blanketing cops as, well, they're out there and they're out of control. What I saw in that footage was not a cop out of control. Did they have to use lethal force? Again, I'm not a cop. Maybe not. I don't know. But I saw that cop recognizing that if I don't do something in this moment with my gun drawn, this woman is going to have a knife sticking out of her head or neck. And that is probably a situation I don't want to ever know what I would do, because I don't want to be in that situation. That's why I'm not a cop.
Absolutely.
And that is a hard choice to make. And that is the part that I think that is so frustrating. I think that nobody is looking at things on a case-by-case basis anymore. The whole world has gone mad. They're just like, well, cops are bad, cops are bad, cops are bad. Cops aren't bad. Some cops are bad. Some baseball players are bad, but still are baseball.
Football quarterbacks are bad.
Yes, you look at a profession, whether it's a public safety profession or a professional athlete or a teacher or anything else. I mean, there are dog trainers that are probably not very good at training dogs. So that's where I think a lot of rational people that sit in the middle look at what is happening in our country and go, I see this for what it is. And I think I absolutely watched this video, and Derek Chauvin is a murderer. And then you watch this other video with Dante Wright, and you realize those cops were just trying to cleanly arrest that man. Whether he needed to be arrested, he had a warrant. He was wanted, and so they were doing their job by arresting him. He fled, and this officer made a terrible misjudgment by firing a weapon and not firing a taser. But at the end of the day, you can watch the video and assess that this is a horrific mistake, and she'll pay, but it's a horrific mistake. This thing in Columbus last night, I don't know that it was a mistake. Does it have to be lethal? I don't know the answer to that. I would suggest not, but again, I don't have that training. But what I saw was a cop who stopped another woman from getting stabbed in the neck.
And didn't he keep telling her to raise her hands, or something? He was giving her orders, and obviously she didn't obey. Like I said, I watched it on my phone, and, so how much could I really see? But I find body cam footage, again, to be really hard to discern what's going on.
Sure.
There's a TV show that of course is fictional, but they use supposedly, they've got little cameras on their chest, and they're cops, and they're chasing. Now those are very, very clear, but it's a TV show that can be edited, and I think people think that they watch something like that, just like with CSI and everything, that this is how it's done in the real world. Well, no, it's not.
No, and that's the thing. TV shows are scripted. Even the reality shows are scripted.
Oh, wow.
This was a cop in the heat of the moment that stopped a girl from getting stabbed in the neck. And I get that there's a lot to it. The girl that actually got shot is the girl that called the police. There's probably, again, if we don't want to, I don't believe anybody has the right to judge, jury, and execution anybody. The girl who got saved from being stabbed may have been the instigator in this whole thing. And that's how it appears, at least as of right now. So the girl who actually may have started it is the girl who had her life saved. And the girl who actually called from apparently defending herself is the one that got shot. I'm not justifying anybody's actions here. All I'm saying is, at the end of the day, that cop stopped someone else from getting stabbed and maybe dying. And that to me is a lot different than what happened with Derek Chauvin.
Well, Derek Chauvin,
it's murder. It was a blatant look in my eyes. I don't care. Watch me do this. That's not what I've seen in some of these other ones. And I guess as much as I think justice was in fact served, look, George Floyd's not coming back. But the guy got everything he could be accused of and was accused of, he's going to get sentenced for. And that is why we have the justice system. To me, I see everybody blanketing all these things. Blanketing. Cops are bad. I'm tired of the cops are bad. I'm tired of that. Some cops are bad, some quarterbacks are bad, some dog trainers are bad, some restaurants are bad. It's just sometimes.
There are bad people.
Yeah.
There are bad people.
Yeah, that everybody in law enforcement being bad is something that's just starting to wear on me.
I think it's wearing on a lot of people.
Yeah, I think it is.
And it's always front and center. And now, with the 24/7 news cycles, every single thing that is done is being picked up. And like I've said in the past, if it bleeds, it leads.
Yes.
The guy that's helping homeless vets gets the last 30 seconds in a newscast for doing something good, but a tragedy like Columbus happens, and it's the lead story, and it's just told over and over. And the other bad thing is, I think this happened during Vietnam, because for the first time we were seeing war live, and we became so desensitized to what was happening that it no longer made an impression. And I'm fearful that that's what's going to happen with all of this. And it's like somebody says, you cry, pray, repeat. Cry, pray, repeat. Because we're not, yes, it's tragic. Okay, well, tomorrow there'll be something else. And that's what I'm afraid of, is that the country, the world, is becoming desensitized to all types of violence, whether it's, police or other miscreants on the streets, gang violence, that kind of thing. And we're just going, okay, again, it's happened again, and we move on.
We're definitely desensitized to this. You're right. Vietnam was almost war for TV.
Absolutely. That's what they say it was.
Made for television.
Yeah.
War made for television. And it extends kind of into my generation. I remember the first time, when I went to journalism school, this is something that we talked about, and then moving a little past that, when we had the ability to look at cell phones and cell phone cameras and record things. One of the first times I remember a video that was just like, should I watch this? And is it real? Was the beheading of Saddam Hussein. And so it was kind of like, do I even want to see this? I do want to see it, but I don't want to see it, but I watched it anyway. Now, just today alone, thinking about what we're going to talk about on the show, I've saw the George Floyd video today. I saw the Columbus, the shooting in Columbus video today. and also because it was all involved in the same video package, the Daunte Wright shooting again. That's just on my phone casually while getting ready for my job. Imagine that. Years ago, I mean, you would have been sick to your stomach. I always thought, and I wrote a paper about this in college, I think in the death penalty, if you did say the most heinous person that has ever walked the earth, Charles Manson, if he was still alive, and you felt like he was the most heinous person, follow me on this. I know that I'm getting a little fictitious here, but if he was going to be executed and it was live on pay-per-view, how many people would watch it? It's a morbid thought. But I bet the answer is there are people that would.
Oh, absolutely, there are. Well, one of the, this was just a internet thing that, bad people like Charles Manson, for the lack of, you gave me a good example, should be stoned to death. And the way to do it would be to sell rocks, and people could go and help stone somebody. And you'd sell out a stadium.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where our society's at. I think we are a morbid curiosity society for sure. And again,
I think humans are, period, not just our society. I think all human beings have a morbid curiosity about what death is.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. And it's just weird to me that on your phone, sitting on a couch in your office, preparing for your job, whatever you do, or whether you could be a hairstylist, you could be anybody, an accountant. But the fact that there's so many videos that you can just pull up on your phone and watch people die, and people watch them is, to me, it says a lot about our society, including me. I'm not here judging anybody. I watched them too. We're going to go ahead, take our break. We'll come back and probably end the day on some lighter, more quirky stuff.
Yes, because I have something of great importance.
Do you?
Yes.
I'm very excited to hear about it. Want to do it after the break?
No, let's do it now. For the three people that really give a crap about the Premier League in soccer.
Oh, yeah, it's on my list.
Oh.
I have that here for you because I think I read this story similar to you.
Yes, it fell apart.
Yes, it did.
Yes, it did.
Let's talk about it when we come back here on The Watchdog.
The Metro News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
West Virginia Metro News, I'm Jeff Jenkins. Governor Jim Justice promising a renewed focus today on getting more West Virginians vaccinated against COVID-19. The numbers have taken a steep dive in recent weeks. Justice says if 40% of state residents still don't have their shots, that has to change. He says 60% is not good enough when considering other things.
We couldn't stand 60% of our population being counted in the census. We couldn't stand 80% of the people that are in our nursing homes taking the vaccine. We couldn't stand those things.
Now, Justice says the mask mandate will stay in place until the numbers improve. He made those comments during his media briefing earlier today at the state capitol. There have now been 2,800 COVID-19 deaths in West Virginia. That number reached today when the State Department of Health and Human Resources reported 11 additional deaths. Jury selection begins Monday morning in the murder and carjacking trial of Joshua Drennan, the Clendenin man arrested after a crime spree on Charleston's west side in February 2020. At a pretrial hearing today, Drennan's attorney, John Sullivan, talked about his client's case.
We're putting on mental illness defense that is going to take expert testimony. Both sides have psychologists going to testify.
Jury selection begins Monday morning in Kanawha County Circuit Court. Some of the jury pool won't be invited, though, because they've expressed concern about the ongoing pandemic. You're listening to Metro News, the voice of West Virginia. The air in West Virginia is getting better. The American Lung Association has its annual clean air report out today. We have the story posted at WVMetroNews.com. You may have put that winter coat away and had to get it back out today. National Weather Service meteorologist Ross Geritana says the good thing, this won't last long.
Really shouldn't amount to a whole lot of meaningful accumulation, but just enough to see some flakes in the air.
Temperatures have struggled to get out of the 30s today. From the Metro News Anchor Desk, I'm Jeff Jenkins.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash, powered by The Score on The Watchdog. I'm John Thayer. Major League Baseball action today. The Baltimore Orioles are in Miami to play the Marlins. The Orioles are 8-9 on the year. Bruce Zimmerman will get the start for Baltimore. He's 1-1. The Pirates and Tigers will play a doubleheader at Comerica Park in Detroit. Game number 1 is set to get underway this afternoon at 2:10 Eastern Time. The Pirates are 7-9. The Nationals are back at home tonight to host the St. Louis Cardinals. The Nationals are 6-9 on the year. Max Scherzer will get the start for Washington. He'll work against Carlos Martinez, who's 0-3 on the season. Wizards are back home tonight to host the Golden State Warriors. The Wizards have won 5 straight to sit 24-33. Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. I'm John Thayer with the Sports Flash, powered by the Score on the Watchdog.
It's like I blinked and suddenly all my business shifted to e-commerce.
Now, my business hours are whenever my customers need me.
My customers want everything now and faster than ever. It's a whole different world.
Your business is changing. The United States Postal Service is changing with it. We're bringing you fast, reliable shipping nationwide, and we're bringing it right when your customers need it. Let's discover new routes. Visit USPS.com/new routes. The United States Postal Service. Priority, you.
You went online to switch your car insurance to Progressive so you could save money, but then you saw a friend request from an old summer camp buddy. And now here you are, clicking through photos of his kickball team from 2011. Oh, looks like they won the championship that year. Then he moved to Tulsa. Oh, a new tattoo. Yes, they said it was easy to save hundreds on car insurance with Progressive, but they forgot about the rest of the internet. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. National average savings by new customer surveyed who see. For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
How do you give hope to a child in the foster care system? It starts with your heart. That tug you feel in yours when you hear that children are waiting for a stable, loving voice to speak up for their best interests. And then it becomes your time. What started out as a feeling that maybe you could make a difference becomes the difference. Change a child's story. There is a child waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at casaforchildren.org.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-362-2000, 362-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. I'm a private real estate investor who can solve your real estate problems fast for cash. Do you want to sell and just be done with it? Okay, great. I buy vacant properties, boarded up houses, pre-foreclosures, and inherited properties. I also buy apartment buildings, rental portfolios, divorce homes. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. I look forward to solving your real estate problems today. Give me a call for an all-cash offer at 614-362-2000, 614-362-2000.
I'm Josh from Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration. I hope you are staying healthy. We continue to respond to structural, fire, and water emergencies. We are combating COVID-19 with our highly trained staff and latest disinfection systems, providing preventative and reactive disinfection to facilities around the region, while working with area hospitals on isolation areas and air filtering. At Panhandle, we continue to follow social distancing and hygiene protocols. We are dedicated to our community, and together, we will get through this.
Hey man, what can I get you?
Yeah, can I have 2 Coors Lights?
You got it. Hey Mike! I need 2 Coors Lights!
Sure thing!
With a taste as cold as the Rockies, only Coors Light gives you refreshment every time. Here you go.
Thanks, Mike. Doing a great job. All right, 2 ice-cold Coors Lights.
That's the coldest beer I've ever had.
Hey, they don't call it the world's most refreshing beer for nothing.
Okay, be honest with me. Do you really have the Rocky Mountains in your beer cooler?
You don't believe it? Check it out.
Man, that's pretty amazing.
I know, right? I can't believe it myself sometimes. I mean, this cooler is only 3 feet wide.
Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. With great beer comes great responsibility.
I'm not buying till I checked on for.
Most of us are faced with uncertainty every day. Your job,
your finances, sporting events, schooling for your children, and so much more. With so much uncertainty surrounding you, there is one auto dealership that you can be certain about, and that's Doane Ford. You can be certain that you always get a great deal and the best service afterwards. Being in business for over 50 years has given Doane Ford the reputation of being a strong, reliable dealership. Be certain. Choose Doane Ford. Online at DoaneFord.com.
I'm not buying till I check Doane Ford.
Welcome back. I'm Big Rick. That's Lola. Real Big Talk continues here. I just got an update from my WTRF app. Bob forgot to call us today. And we were here. I don't think we heard from Bob. He was probably busy working on this. The Wellsburg Bridge project pushed back again.
I don't know why anybody be surprised by that.
No,
I mean,
it's now Monday and Tuesday.
it is West Virginia. You know, every time they give you a date that something's going to happen, you can always be rest assured it's going to be pushed back at least once.
Yeah, this is, I think, the third set of dates. But the Wellsburg Bridge project did get pushed back for Monday and Tuesday. So just to keep you posted on that. I'm just looking forward to watching the footage of the bridge move down the river. I just think that's going to be cool.
I know, but this screws up your weekend. You were planning on coming down for the weekend.
I was. I actually thought about tailgating. Rick, what do you tailgate? Watching this bridge float.
Absolutely.
I just got to find a reason for your own happiness.
At least it's floating upriver instead of down.
Yes. No, I think it'll be fun. I mean, I tailgated to watch them implode Three River Stadium. Why not to move a bridge? I think it's going to be just as fun. We got somebody on the line?
Yeah, it's Dan.
Hey, Dan, what's up?
Hey, this is off topic, but yesterday when I hung up, I was talking to you about the crime in Steubenville.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a show that comes on TV. It's on A&E. It'll be on 10 o'clock tonight, okay? It's called I Survived the Crime, okay?
All right.
It's going to be live footage of this man trying to assassinate a judge in Steubenville.
Oh, I remember that story. Story.
Yeah, they got it. And apparently, the judge had a gun of his own.
Oh, wow.
Turned fire. But it'll be on tonight at 10 o'clock on A&E.
Well, I Survived a Crime on A&E?
Yeah, A&E, yeah. It shows this guy walking up to the judge and trying to assassinate him. Yeah. And I don't know if he shot the judge or... You know, the judge got a shot off after he shot him or something. Yeah, it's called I Survived the Crime.
Oh, that's good information, Dan. I appreciate that.
All right, brother. Have a good day.
Take care, pal. You too. Yeah, I vaguely remember that myself.
I remember that.
So yeah, 10 o'clock tonight. Watch that. Nothing like having your town featured on a show called I Survived a Crime. Look, crime is everywhere. Crime is everywhere. It doesn't mean they're bad places. I've spent plenty of time in Steubenville and have enjoyed my time there. So it happens to everybody. There's crime everywhere.
You know, what's funny, when we moved from Detroit, I mean, that's, 2.5 hours of news a day, and it was all, shootings and this kind of thing. So I'm thinking, oh, this is cool, We put the news on, and the first story was that there was a drive-by shooting in Steubenville, and I'm going, what? what the hell? We just moved away from this kind of stuff, and that was the very first story I saw in the news when we got here.
That's something. You're probably like, oh, well, I mean, it felt like home.
Yeah, kind of, but not the good feeling.
No, look, that happens. That happens. There are crimes everywhere. When I moved to Fort Myers to Florida, I'm like, this is great. This is going to be the Gulf of Mexico. I'm living the high life. And you know what? I did. I lived the high life about a block and a half away from where nobody lived the high life, and it was terrifying. It was like, but all the stuff I needed, like the closest grocery store was down there, the closest pharmacy was down there. I'm like, this isn't what I signed up for. So I mean, that's just, again, you have things everywhere that will get you. Let's talk about this because we talked about it yesterday, and you're obviously excited about it. The Super League fell apart.
Yes, it
for
did.
Premier League soccer. Just to catch you up, and I know a lot of people probably aren't necessarily into Premier League soccer.
There's three of us. There's three of us here.
But I think I think what it is probably an example that other leagues can learn from, to just say this is not something that's going to be possible, because there will be rallying everywhere, and that's what happened.
Absolutely. This is where the little guy won.
Yeah,
the little guys went up against the billionaires that owned those teams, and the little guys won.
Was at Stamford Bridge, I think I saw, is where there were people just everywhere.
Oh, I'm sure.
They were out of their minds protesting the idea of basically the best teams becoming a super league, leaving the smaller market teams in the smaller places out of it, which ultimately would have killed off that part of the league. And to me, it seems like, why would you want less teams? Now just let me throw this at you, and I'm going to compare it to what's happening in the NHL. Right now, hell, let's compare it to what's happening in the ECHL. I love the fact that the Nailers are here. I could not see the Comets again for the rest of my life. I mean, they've played the same, really, handful of teams, the Fuel and the Comets, over and over and over. Now, I get why it's happened because of COVID and things like that. And take it to the NHL level, there's 8 teams. The Penguins play the same 8 teams over and over. No trips to Canada, no trips out west.
This year is not an example,
But I think what this year is showing you what would have happened had the Premier League done this.
Yeah.
You'd have been playing the same group of teams over and over. And honestly, the idea of another fist fight against the Comets, it's fun because you like violence in hockey, but really, you want to see different teams. It's fun to see different teams. The games that I make a point to go to are when Utah came to town, when Florida comes in, because it's interesting, it's different. What the Premier League wanted to do was essentially make itself a league that only had the opportunity for them to play so many teams in this. Was it going to be 8 teams or 16? It was small.
It was 12.
Was it 12?
Something like that.
It wasn't
not many.
Yeah, that's not
many.
That's not many. The Pens play the same 7 teams over and over and over again. And as much as I love hockey, I want to see Connor McDavid play for the Oilers, but I can't because he can't come to America and play. You want to see those other teams. The Dallas Stars made it to the finals last year in the bubble. I'd love to see what Dallas had to offer, but I can't because they can't come and play here. So, it's like this, to me, was an example of a year in sports, especially for those teams, for NHL teams, that it laid out an example, I think, for what the Premier League would have looked like. And I don't think anybody would have wanted that.
Well, how good can the competition be at a certain point? You don't even have to watch film. You just play them.
Yeah.
You know every team's weaknesses. The competition, I think, would have really dropped drastically because there was nothing new to play against. I'm just more than that. I'm just thrilled that the little guys beat the big guys. How dare you think, because you have all this money, they didn't even go to the players and ask them if they wanted to do this. They just collectively got together, the owners, and said, well, this is what we're going to do, without consulting anybody else about anything else. I think the players had a lot to say about it too when, the story finally broke. But I just want to warn all these mega rich guys that own franchises, you cannot do this kind of thing because you'll destroy the very thing that you bought into when you first bought the team. You know?
No, I think that they look at it as the opportunity to elevate above some of those other teams that aren't the billionaire owners. I mean, look, everybody that is owning a franchise in a professional league is certainly financially stable. And
well, you hope.
Well, I mean, you would think.
I know what you're saying.
Well, hell, the Penguins. That guy tried to buy the Penguins, who had no money. It was like all just a complete show, and so yeah. I mean, that kind of stuff does happen, but yeah, I think when you get to be that rich, you kind of lose a grasp on who actually is making you rich. It's the people that go to the games, buy the jerseys. Again, soccer is more about colors than logos, but you know your team colors. And that's who made you rich. When you buy a sports franchise, the guy who owns the Buffalo Bills and the Buffalo Sabres, well, he's probably thrilled about the Bills, but he's probably got to go, why am I doing this with the Sabres? They stink, you know. And so a team like the Sabres, who has an uber rich owner, would be one of the teams that got left in the dust if the Penguins and the Oilers and the 8 elite teams in the NHL or 12 elite teams said, we're not playing the Sabres anymore. We're not going to play the Coyotes anymore. We're not doing that. We're just going to play each other in this super hockey league. I don't think anybody wants that. We'll take our last quick break. We'll get this out of the way, and we'll come back and finish off the show right here on the Watchdog.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Hey, I'm going to the kitchen. Can I grab you a Coors Light?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Huh. I never knew there was a zip line in my fridge. Hey, buddy!
Yeah!
You got 2 Coors Lights up there?
You got it!
Always brewed down to 34 degrees. With a taste as cold as the Rockies, only Coors Light gives you refreshment every time.
Here you go. 2 Coors Lights.
Awesome, man. Wow, these are really cold.
That's the only way I deliver it.
Sure. I mean, you being a mountain climber and all?
Yep.
You probably need a pretty warm coat in there, huh?
Yep.
Hey, Ben!
Yeah!
Ask him if he has any nachos.
You got any nachos in there?
No.
Just icy cold Coors Light?
Yep.
That makes sense. It is the Rockies.
Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. With great beer comes great responsibility.
CA House Music has all the gear to make your music legendary. With all the best gear, including Fender, Epiphone, Yamaha, and more, CA House will have you rocking in no time. Get the most for your money with everyday low prices. And we meet or beat internet pricing. Play before you buy and let our product specialists help you pick out the instrument that's right for you. CA House Music, supporting local musicians since 1872. Play music for life.
Does your company's website work for you? Is it helping attract new clients and improving your brand awareness? If not, or you don't know, contact the team at Omni Strategic Technologies. With expert web developers, they build amazing web experiences that help their clients perform better. Contact Omni at 304-242-7600 or visit them at www.omniperforms.com.
Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 want to thank the owners and contractors of the Ohio Valley for using their locally trained workers to help build for the future. Local 83 helps design, fabricate, and build the gas infrastructure for the oil and gas industry here in the Ohio Valley. Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 is 300 members strong and growing. They also do residential, commercial, and industrial work on both sides of the river. For more information, call Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 at 304-233-4445.
A serious injury from an accident can be just the start of your worries. What if you cannot return to work? How do you take care of your family if you're disabled? At Gelner Law Offices, we represent seriously injured people and understand their problem. We know how to get you fair compensation. We will work hard to make sure you get the money you deserve for your losses. Don't go it alone. If you're hurt in an accident, call us at 304-242-2900 or visit us at gelnerlaw.com.
We'd like to help.
We get it almost every night. And when that moon gets so big and bright, it's supernatural delight. Everybody was dancing in the moonlight. Everybody here is out of sight. They don't bark and they don't bite. They keep things loose, they keep things alive. Everybody was dancing in the moonlight. Dancing in the moonlight. Everybody's feeling warm and bright. It's such a fine and natural sight. Everybody's dancing in the moonlight. We like our fun and we never fight.
Getting ready to wrap up the show today. I'm Rick, that's Lola. Last night, the Penguins, you heard the game here on the Watchdog. The Penguins did something no one has ever done before. They won after giving up 6 goals in one period. At that point, that had never happened. Every team that had done that went 271, I think. That had never happened. The Penguins are dominating the first 2 periods. It's 6-0. And then it ends 7-6. I mean, honestly, I feel like if there were a few more minutes left in that game, they would have lost.
Yep. I agree.
Is that nerve-wracking for Pens fans? Yes. I mean, Tristan Jarry, as much as I like the kid, and he was an all-star last year, you can't have that total implosion. They scored 6 goals on 11 shots. You should not have that kind of scoring percentage on 11 shots. And it is probably a disturbing trend for Pens fans to look at here. I mean, there are things about the Pens that you can look at and go, Letang has played very well, but again, he tries to play like he's closer to 25 than 35. Malkin is in and out of the lineup, and that is a concern. Getting these guys back onto the ice is a big deal. But boy, it's a trade deadline. We had talked about this. Will the Penguins go out and get some sort of steady hand veteran goaltender in case he's needed? Well, they didn't do it, and they're going to have to ride Jarry and DeSmith. Of course, we know DeSmith well from his time here in Wheeling, but I had never seen anything like that before. Crosby scored a goal that seemed like didn't matter at the time. Turned out to be the game winner. Goal 7 is the game winner when you're up 6-0 going into the third. That for me is a big problem for the Pens. Lola just told me the first of 2 games this afternoon, the doubleheader between the Pirates and the Tigers. Pirates win the first one 3-2. The Pirates are now threatening, if they win this game, to be 500. They're 8-9 right now. If they win the nightcap, the Pirates could be 500. Now, granted, it's only 18.
I'm happy.
Yeah, it's only 18 games into the season, but like I said, I will moonwalk down Main Street if they end this season within 5 games of 500. I will be very excited about that. We'll close out on this last note. Did you see that Ted Nugent has COVID? The Nuge came out and said this whole thing is fake. It's this, it's this, it's this. Obviously, I don't want anything bad to happen to anybody, especially not the Nuge. I enjoy the rock and roll of the Nuge, but he has certainly changed his tune on that.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
Isn't it just amazing? These people that said it was fake, it wasn't real, it was just a Democrat thing.
Yeah, and Ted is definitely not that. What was
Obviously, he didn't get vaccinated.
No. And what was the what was the old Publishers Clearinghouse? I can't believe it happened to me.
Yeah.
Ted's probably saying that too. For Lola, I'm Rick. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow here at 2 p.m. This is The Watchdog.
The